and he's like talking about how like my dad told me, if you just focus on shooting the other guys more than them shooting you, you'll have more fun at all times, you know?
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I was the kid who would hide behind a wooden plank and not shoot my gun. And my parents would watch and they'd be like, we're taking you out here for you to sit behind a plank for 5 hours. What the f are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fine. So then I would like shoot like 3 paintballs and I'd hide. I was terrified, right? But there was a breakthrough moment where I was like, maybe if I just focused on shooting the other team and moving, that's when I was like, oh, this is exhilarating.
Welcome to another episode of Around the Bar, presented by Center. It's a podcast and an interview series where I invite a guest on, we have a drink and a chat. Today we have Ronnie Dizon. He's a professional paintball player who has been playing for 10 plus years, and he's currently playing for the Houston Heat. He's got over 10 championships and is a veteran of the game. On top of being a pro player, he is also a really good content creator. He uploads his vlog series called the Dizon Docs, and he also streams on his Twitch channel, playing things like Warzone, Call of Duty, and things like that. Today, we are drinking one of my personal favorites, espresso martinis. Espresso martinis consists of Kahlua, espresso, vodka, and maybe just a little bit of simple syrup. Also, stay tuned after the podcast and click down below in the description for the extension of the podcast called Behind the Bar, exclusively on the Optic Nation membership program, where we answer some quick rapid-fire questions and we play beer pong against the other guests on the show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Center for sponsoring, and enjoy this conversation with Ronnie Dizon. All right, welcome to the podcast, Ronnie. Cheers. We're drinking espresso martinis, man.
Dude, we're getting turned.
Yeah, I asked you what you wanted to drink, and when you said espresso martini, I was like, yes.
It's a yes, but it's also like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, so it's so cool. It also could be a no, but
true. Yeah. But you know, we're here.
Why not?
We're here. Austin made them. He was working on them earlier, and
he did a great job.
He got them to the right amount. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, this is perfect. Good job, Austin. Good job.
I had a couple of people on. We've had a few beers. We've had some like little cocktails that I was trying for the first time, but this is my favorite. I mean, it's my favorite. It's my favorite drink, and it's your favorite drink too. So
yeah, I mean, so it's a funny story. Me and 4 other professional paintball players, and a coach. Okay. We did a pro camp where like we taught kids how to play paintball. It was like a 4-day thing, right? So we had this hotel in Chicago. We had all these kids coming to this pro camp every day. But next to our hotel was this place called Jimmy's, right?
Okay.
There's a big backstory here. So we would walk to Jimmy's, you know, we'd have dinner there, and then we would have drinks. And one night we decided like, hey, let's have an espresso martini. They're like, can you guys make those? They're like, yeah, we can make them.
Yeah.
So they started making them. And like, I'm not kidding you, we drank them dry. No, like seriously, they ran out of all espresso martini.
Of espresso?
Yeah, everything, anything and everything it takes to make a Kahlua, espresso. Like they couldn't make them anymore.
Okay.
But it was like every night it was like, hey, we're going to Jimmy's. We're like, again? We're like, okay, we're going back. So every single time we have like a group chat. Yeah. So we text each other every time we have espresso martinis.
Hell yeah.
And the name of the group chat is Jimmy's. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it's.
So what did you have hangovers the next morning or no? Or did you sleep?
Good question. Thank you for asking. I can't really remember. It was a great time.
I was like, how do you coach paintball and you mid hangover?
We did a great job. It was an incredible
They
camp.
got their money's worth.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, that's great. So yes, professional paintball, that is why we're here.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about I mean, this is super broad and it's a horrible question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What is professional paintball?
Geez, so where do we start? So the general mainstream, when they think paintball, they think of people in the woods, you know, hiding with camo on and stuff, right? And that is a very big spectrum of what paintball is. There's a whole side of it called woods ball, where people go out, they do their role playing, you know, they want to, you know, and I respect that. That's really cool, you know. But then there is the opposite side where it is the speedball aspect, where we're playing on gridded AstroTurf or grass fields.
Right.
We have these inflatable bunkers. A lot of people have probably seen them on TikTok. A lot of those clips go viral of just people playing this sport and then saying it's a waste of money. And time. Yeah, it's really criticized for that. But,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, so we're playing a very competitive sport. It's a 5-on-5 sport. We got coaches. We got point systems. We got a whole format that's basically, progressed over the years and evolved every year because we're still kind of in like the baby stages of realizing how we can make the sport mainstream.
Yeah.
So, if you were to go to, a sporting event and try to watch it, we're trying to make it more spectator friendly.
Right. Yeah.
So that's been the.
I got a bunch of questions about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the gist of it. I play competitively 5 events a year in the professional circuit, and we it's
so basically any of your local paintball like facilities, they're usually going to have like some sort of like maybe a Nuketown field or like a fun field, and then they'll also have these inflatables that are on the ground and they haven't been blown up yet, and then when they blow them up,
right,
that's like, what you play.
Exactly, it's this obstacle course where we hide behind
shit.
Yeah. So,
and also I don't think a lot of people won't know this, but there's an extremely rich history of paintball, like of professional paintball. It's been, I think some people have been playing since the early 80s, right?
Yeah, it's been around for so initially it was for cattle marking, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the paintball guns were created to mark cattle for like farmers and stuff.
Oh wow.
But then the old folk tale is that like one of them decided to shoot each other and then boom, it created a game, right?
Yeah.
Because it was easy to, and I think there's some history behind it. There was like a survival game where like you're trying to like okay, it's like imitating
like cops and robbers,
right?
Basically. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, there's a lot of history behind it. I have teammates that have been playing professional since I was born.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like so it's
30 years.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy to see the how you could be older in the sport and still be able to play at the top level because experience in the sport is more than anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though it is physical.
Yeah, it's very physical.
Extremely physical.
The format we play now is very physical.
Okay.
But experience still trumps that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you got some of the, like you said, some of the best. You play for the Houston Heat.
Yes.
It's like I would say top 3 team.
Yeah, we're third in the series, or we're in the world right now. Yes.
Really? Yeah, okay. And then you've got somebody on your team who's been playing for 30 years. I think the top team has like 3 people that have been playing for 30 years, something like that. Like it's a very intense sport. And do you think that's because of just the vast knowledge, or do you think, is there an influx of new players that are always coming in?
In terms of...
Like, are there enough new players coming into paintball where you're like, okay, the next generation's good?
Yeah. Well, so the thing is like the gap of the next generation, there's a cycle of these next generation kids, and I was one of them, of being very fast, very athletic, but then the knowledge wasn't there on the in-game experience.
Yeah.
And even with, if you look at Call of Duty, like the more experienced players usually trump those faster reaction kids who are, on the scene because they've seen this scenario over and over again, right?
Yeah.
It might be a different map or a different layout for paintball, you know what I mean? But they're like, okay, they're going to, most of the time, 70, 80% of the time, they're going to do this. Or in COD, they're going to challenge this angle or whatever it is, right? So I think the best way to explain is, these kids are, there's a lot of really sweet talent coming up on the scene. I have a teammate right now. He's 20 years old, 21 actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's very new. But
did you go out with him for his 21st?
Actually, we were trying to plan it this whole season because we were like, dude, you're going to be 21.
Right, yeah.
And then I realized it was his birthday and we were all at home. I'm like, oh, we didn't really plan this. So shout out to you, Connor. I love you,
just
buddy.
text him, happy birthday?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. But we're definitely going to do something coming up at this World Cup for him. But yeah, no, so like having like see it firsthand with him, him being so young, and then thinking about what I went through when I was his age, it's like I have to try to take whatever knowledge I had and pass it on to him, but also learn from what he's bringing to the table. So there's a lot of kids like him on the circuit, but that was just an example. But yeah.
So you went pro in 2014?
Actually, my first pro event was 2011.
2011. Okay, and then you joined Aftershock in 2014.
Okay, so I'm
all over the place.
Yeah,
something like that.
I'll do like a cliff notes of it. It's in 2011. I was playing Division 2, which is like amateur.
Right.
And we won the World Cup in Division 2.
Okay.
And the owner of my team, Randy Smith, shout out to the Smith family, they support me. He also was funding Chicago Aftershock in a different format.
Okay.
So what we played at the time was the 5-on-5. There was also a format called 7-man, We were 7-on-7.
Right.
So he was funding them, and his son played on the team. One of my teammates played on the team. And then at the end of the year, we won the World Cup in Division 2, and then we also won a Canadian championship. I played in Canada, and we went like undefeated. We like dominated all that whole year. So we won the World Cup in Division 2, Canadian championship, and then the last event, which was Vegas, when the Riviera was a hotel.
Right.
They had the tournament, the World Championships for the 7-man event in the parking lot.
Oh,
and
wow.
they called me and he said, "Hey, if you're interested, we want to bring you to Aftershock for the last event of the year. I don't know how much playtime you're going to get, but we're going to get you over there, and everything. Just get yourself there, and we'll take care of the rest." I'm like, "Okay, I would love to.
Yeah.
And it's a funny story because since we're drinking, I have a buddy who we grew up playing together, and he told me, he's like, "Hey, if you bunker somebody the first or like anytime throughout the tournament, like I'm gonna shotgun a beer, for every person you bunker, right?" But the thing is like bunkering means you run up on a guy and you go point blank and you shoot him, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm going there as a kid, like, dude, I've been watching the Pro Division this whole year, like Dynasty and all these guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like that's like this is unreal, because I'm going out there and playing against them.
Now you're playing against them,
right? But all year I was like just watching them,
right? Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is insane. I don't expect anything, right?
Yeah.
So we go out there and we play, and the first game we play was against I think we were playing Portland, and I bunkered the last guy, and it was 8 a.m. And I get a text from my buddy as soon as I walk off the field. He goes, "Well, it's 8 a.m. and it looks like I'm shotgunning a beer." You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah, that's good.
I thought about him instantly when I did it, but then. So fast forward, we actually won that tournament.
Yeah, that's the November tournament, right?
Yes, exactly. Won in November, yeah. And it was actually the first tournament that they won in like a decade, like the organization.
The Aftershock?
Yeah. And then when that happened, that kind of sparked everything. But Houston Heat came along in 2012 when the owner, Randy Smith, he was like, "Okay, cool. I'm going to offer these guys on Chicago Aftershock spots. And whoever wants it can come. Whoever doesn't. So half the team came. Half of them went to a team called Infamous.
Okay.
So we kind of split.
Yeah.
And then we just started picking guys. I remember I got a call. He's like, "If you had to play with these 3 guys, who would you pick?" So I said this guy Fedorov, which is like my roommate when I go to tournaments now.
Yeah.
Because he was like one of the Hall of Fame players, right?
Yeah.
I think I said Justin Rabikoff, which he was in the contention, and then Oliver Lang, which is like the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And then next thing
you
you
just ruined one of my questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. So you could say 4 months later, I'm flying to Texas, and these guys are my teammates.
That's crazy.
So it's like if somebody were to say like, "Okay, name your top 3 COD players," right?
Yeah, and your team won them.
And then next year you're like, "Okay, these are your team."
Yeah.
What? Like?
So he just said yes to all 3. Got all 3.
It was fucking sweet.
Oh, so you did team with Oliver Lang?
Oliver didn't come.
Okay.
He's down Dynasty. We got 3 Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Fedorov. This guy Mishka, who he's like a absolute legend. And then another one. And they came to the team, and we actually changed the league because the next year we won 3 events out of 5, and we won the World Cup.
Wow.
So it was like, imagine being like a kid like the last year, like, "Oh, I've been watching all these guys."
Yeah.
And then you get these like few wins in a row, then that championship win, and then you dominate the league. Like,
so it's just like, you're probably like, that year you're like, what's my life?
Right. Because then everyone's like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What were you doing like professionally before that? Because paintball is your profession.
Yes, correct. It's my career, yeah.
What were you doing before that? Like when you were D2, is it still your profession, or were you doing other stuff too?
I was just going to school, dude.
Oh,
I was going to school.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. My heart was into paintball, but like,
right.
Obviously, like I need to make money somehow, right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna. My parents came over from the Philippines. For me to sell it to them that I was gonna not go to school and play paintball was very difficult.
I can imagine.
Yeah, especially because they came over when we weren't even born,
Right,
so they were like, we're gonna build this, and then one of their kids goes, "I'm gonna play paintball." It's
yeah. That's something that
no, you're not.
That's something all of us here
right.
can
Esports
relate to. Yeah,
can relate to it. It's like, no, you're not gonna play video games.
Yeah, I'll never forget the conversation I had with my mom. It was at a bar, and I said, "I think I'm gonna do this," and she said, "All right, well, give it a few years, and then we'll see."
And she was like, "Okay, when you're done with that,
yeah, when you're done, then you're going to go back to school." I was like, "I promise I'll go back to school," and I haven't gone back yet. So,
fuck yeah, me too.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. So, same story pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that, and then I played for Heat from 2012 to 2014, and then in actually 2014 they cut me.
Oh, okay.
They cut me and a few others. And it wasn't because of my playing ability. Actually, it was like my maturity level because I was like in my 20s at this point, you know?
I mean, when you turn a corner like that in life, I'm sure you get a little hot-headed.
Well, yeah, it's just I was on a different.
Yeah.
My thing was, it wasn't even like partying or anything like that. It was just me just not being mature enough to make mature decisions. Like, for example, making a flight, you know, or being on time, you know?
Yeah.
For all the kids watching, like,
we have a few of those.
These are very important things, though. You know what I mean? Like,
we got a couple. Maybe.
We have a couple of those.
Yeah.
yeah. But.
So, it was a lot of those things that kind of piled up over, you know, me being immature.
Mm-hmm.
So they cut me, and then I actually went back to school because I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. You know, I'm like, okay, there wasn't a lot of teams that you could make a career
right
at the time, you know, and a lot of the teams that you could, they were kind of full, you know. Booked, so it's like, okay, well, what do I do, you know? So me and one of my buddies who also got cut, we just searched far and wide, and we ended up, you know, working a few different deals, but then we ended up going back to Aftershock, which is the Chicago team,
right?
And that was the 2 years that I really learned the most about myself because I had to build my own career.
Yeah.
I didn't really have the funding or the foundation. Right. I had the bare minimum to go build my career. And I think those 2 years was the wake-up call for me to, like, get my shit together,
you
know, take it really seriously, take my life seriously, and also take my paintball career seriously. Like, if I'm going to play on this team, I'm going to be one of the best players on this team.
Right.
And also I'm going to, like, show to the other, like, teams, like, you know, that's not somebody you should overlook.
Yeah. And at this point, so when you're at Houston Heat, before you get cut, that is when you know, they hired you on, and this your full-time job. Is after that crazy year where you go and then you get cut. So at that point, do you realize that, like, or is that when you started doing content?
Yeah. So it's funny. I wanted. That's when I started watching a lot of content, like YouTube vlogs and stuff. And I'm like, man, this would have been so cool. This was when I was on Aftershock. I'm like, this would have been so cool when I was traveling the world on Heat, right?
Yeah.
And then 2017 came around for the season, and I was about to sign with like one or two different teams, and then Heat called me.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, shout out to my boy, He called me. He's like, hey, do you want to be back with the boys? And I'm like, oh, shit. And there was a part of me that was like salty. I'm like, do I go back to the team that cut me?
Yeah.
But also there was like, do I rewrite history, you know?
Right.
And you know, do what I was there to do. So I said yes. And, you know, I talked to Randy Smith. He had a spot for me. And that's when I was like, okay, this is my second shot at wanting to do content. I couldn't really do it on Chicago, which I should have, because it would have been cool seeing that.
Right.
Because all I did was drive 20 minutes down the street, play, and then come home. There wasn't much to it. But now looking back at it, I wish I did, you know?
Yeah.
But that's when I gas pedaled down on the content, started the YouTube channel, and started showing what it was like to be on a team like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the content is like, I would say probably one of the biggest points of paintball. I mean, since like, that's how I started watching. My cousin got me involved, or like, took me to a paintball field, and it was, you know, it's a big woods ball field, or what's it when it's all the bunkers are wooden? That's called something.
Yeah, woods ball. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I forgot what it, I forgot. He called it something, but it's like a big tower, and you can, you know, we're playing 12 on 12 and, you know, stuff like that. And so I had my Titman 98. I'm following him around, and I was just like, I loved it so much. And so then I started watching paintball, and then, you know, I started looking it up on YouTube, and I realized there was a bunch of DVDs out there, and you know, that's what people started watching documentaries, and then
so you got obsessed with it.
HK Army, it like comes around a couple years later. My buddy, actually one of my buddies, he's the creative director for Cloud9.
Okay.
Cassidy,
Cassie Sanders.
That's my boy.
He used to work for HK.
Right,
Dude,
that's where he came from. Dude, his stuff in the HK days were so sick.
He was he literally set the bar for a lot of paintball videographers. Dude, that's awesome.
He's the man. Just are there a lot of people out there? I know there's one guy that does really good content. Gym Rat?
Matt the Gym Rat.
Yeah, his stuff, I binged it a couple of years ago, and super good content. Like,
he understands what the YouTube crowd is, and how to engage them, and what's going to hold the attention.
Exactly, yeah.
And he kind of copy and pasted really good, you know, blueprints of what a YouTube video should be.
Right.
Yeah, so I think he's crushing it. Yeah.
And why do you think that content, whether it's these old documentaries or these like YouTube videos or even like the old DVDs or magazines, like why is there so much content that's based around paintball?
I think because we still haven't had that moment where we've like shown it to the world of the beauty of like, especially the competitive side of it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think in the last 2 years or 3 years, the content has stepped up tremendously. But I think a lot of videographers, Verbal, I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Verbal, yeah. Like a lot of videographers have stepped into the scene and really put the gas pedal down on like putting out as much paintball content as they can, you know?
Yeah.
And actually, it's funny. I had my girlfriend's a hairstylist. Shout out to Stella. She was doing someone's hair today, and they were like, "Oh, I saw a paintball clip that was viral." And Stella was like, "I bet it was of my boyfriend Ronnie." So she's like, "Send me the clip that went viral," and it was like has like 52 million views or something. And I sent it to her. She's like, "No, it wasn't that one." And I'm like, "That's great though. That means that there's so many more that were viral, right?" Mm-hmm. So I think for us, we never. For a long portion of time, and I think the pandemic helped actually, was
really
in that period of time when paintball wasn't like active, like people were trying to make content around paintball. So all these podcasts, like the Play the Game podcast and all these other shows started to sprout. So I think it helped paintball content to in the second wave, like right after the pandemic, like okay, we need to put more out. But yeah, no, I think that paintball in itself, like there's so much story behind every tournament with every team, you know? Yeah. And it's such a weird sport to be able to document, you know? So
it is a very strange sport.
Strange, right?
Yeah. I think that's something that if you start watching, if you start watching paintball or you start playing paintball, you realize like how strange it is. Cause when you're playing laser tag, your thing goes off if you get hit.
Yeah.
But in paintball, I feel like there's a lot of, like, how do you know, like, because sometimes it hurts like a bitch, I'm sure. Sometimes you don't feel it at all.
Right.
And then sometimes you do feel it and you try to get it off you before anyone sees it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a very strange sport. But it is full of just testosterone energy. Yeah. That's what it seems like. And it seems like all these old school like documentaries and stuff. And you know, I watched a bunch of like Dynasty. I started really getting into it whenever Greg Hastings, the video game.
Yeah, were you good at that game? Did you play a lot?
Well, I mean, I only played the first one. So the one on original Xbox, there's no online.
Yeah.
And I played through it.
Yeah.
And you know, you start. I think it's ahead of its time.
They did a well produced game.
Yeah, really ahead of its time. You start with a little gun and you
work your way up.
It's
so cool.
Yeah, you're playing with Billy and Tim, and then by the end, like you're basically Dynasty's fifth.
Right.
I think it's like how they did it. I think all the last people you unlock are all Dynasty players.
Right.
So like I think that's how like a bunch of I'm sure a lot of people discovered it through either that game or like the magazines.
I would love to see statistics of how many people got exposed to that, because that's really cool. And I know there's on the forefront, there's a lot of paintball video games that are actually sprouting up within the next few years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like there's a big one coming out next year called Virtua.
Okay.
That's some, I can't say too much, but
right.
There's some players behind it who are very into the scene. And so that one's sprouting next year. There's one I play now called Infinite Paintball. It's only on mouse and keyboard, and you can put a controller in there too. I'll send you.
I'll
send it to you. But every night I put up a server. And
really?
I play like 5-on-5s, and it's like full format. You get the buzzer and everything.
Oh, wow.
It's actually really fun. And it's just one guy programming the whole thing. It's one guy. So like I give him as much feedback as I can.
Yeah, for sure.
So he could make it well, because I want what racing has, a racing simulator.
Yeah.
I want to be able to have a simulator for my sport.
Right. Yeah.
So like at night before I go to bed, if I go play like a full match or two, at least my brain's still thinking about it. Yeah, and I'm immersed into it. Yeah.
And do you think that almost seems like a practice tool?
Yeah. No, I think it is.
Yeah.
I was telling people, if you play this game, you can tell who's good at paintball and who's if they understand the mechanics, like you could tell like their decision making if they've actually played paintball and if they don't. Because when I don't want to boast, but like when I go play, it's like I'm dropping 20 bombs or 30 bombs because it's just like we're playing on the layouts that we played all year. So it's like I know all the shots. I know what you're gonna do next.
Angles,
yeah. So it's like I think it's cool that more paintball games are coming up on the scene, because I think it'd be huge to have.
Thank you, Mom.
esports paintball game.
That is not how I played Greg Hastings. Okay. I ran down the middle of this
and just torch everyone.
When you get hit, there's a little bar that comes up. You can wipe it.
Yeah.
I'm just.
That's how I play in real life.
Yeah. So I play Greg Hastings. You start teaming with all the Dynasty guys. So I'm like, are these real guys? And my cousin tells me like, oh yeah, those are all real guys. So I look them up, and then you start seeing all these documentaries and just like the huddles and how like intense of a sport it is. Yeah. I think that's what draws like a lot of people because is there anything that we could tell Matt to look up right now and throw on like any like intense huddles? Cause it's crazy. Yeah. Like how intense you guys, I was watching yours the other day. I was like, I don't even recognize him.
Yeah, that's true.
You get very like very,
it's a different, I think your last guest, Mike P, he talked about it, how when he's thinking about when he battles somebody, how he goes into that different zone, right? So that's, I'll have guys that like I'm super cool off the field with, friends with, but then like they'll be like, hey, I'm going to come pit for you, which means they're going to like help fill pods during our match, right? Okay. But then they come in, they're like trying to be friendly, but it's like I'm not there, right? Like I'm
not now.
I'm a demon, right? Like, but it's true. You have to get in that like boxer mindset where you're like I'm gonna go out there and fuck the other team up, and I have no mercy if I'm friends on and off the field,
because at the end of the day, you're shooting someone
right
with a gun. Yeah. Like it's not like a casual thing. Like you're out there. I think the coolest part of paintball is just how awesome everyone looks. Yeah. I think a break off in paintball is like top 5 coolest shots, which is why we've seen the same shots for 10 years. Right. Like, because it never gets old. Like you guys all have like visors. You look like the Miami defensive backs out there with guns, like it looks really, really, it's a really fun sport. And I think it really draws people in. What do you think is one of the things that like is, I guess like a barrier to entry? Like what is keeping people from not playing soccer and not playing basketball and then they go play paintball? Like,
it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's an expensive sport. Imagine having to go play basketball or soccer. Yeah. And you have to buy 2,000 of those balls every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At like so it's definitely a luxury sport. I will say that. You know what I mean? So you definitely have to have the ability to the ability to afford to play,
right?
And then to get into the game, you're gonna have to put in some time and a lot of money to get to the tournament side of it. I think there's a lot of format changes on the horizon that could help reduce costs for tournament players to help them, see that there's an end goal. Because the thing is like there's a portion of time where it's like, what's the end goal if you go play pro paintball? There's not much, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the players, and especially us, we do it for the love of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and majority of the pro teams, they do it. They all have real jobs, but they do it for the love of the game. You know what I mean? Because we're in early stages of trying to figure out what's the best possible route. And I actually at the World Cup this year, there's a new format that's being introduced. That we're going to play where it's completely different than what we're playing. It's going to just be like exhibition games.
Okay.
But it's going to be like completely different in terms of how the scoring is and maybe if this could be a possible thing to pitch. Okay. To the future. But also there's on the Play the Game podcast, my teammate Tyler and his a player on Dynasty, Marcelo, they do. Mm-hmm. They talk about how they talk to the Tom Cole, who's the guy over at the NXL. He basically does a lot of pitches for different TV shows and all this stuff. He went to a whole thing where he essentially is pitching it to different investors. Yeah, and you don't know. I don't know what it's called, but like they're basically at a place, at a convention, in a warehouse or whatever it is, where you have a booth up, right, and all these investors are walking around, but none of them are labeled. Like it's not going to say YouTube.
Yeah.
Or Netflix.
Right.
Because you're going to talk to that person differently. You know what I mean? Right. So it's just all these people. So you have to treat everybody with the same respect. And who knows? You could be talking to the head at CEO at Netflix.
Right, yeah.
To shoot a documentary, But we're trying to figure out ways to format it where it's more marketable to the mainstream audience again.
Right.
And I think the current format we have is great, and it's awesome to play, but there's nothing against trying new things,
Yeah. So. I think one of the... just as pure spectator, never even I don't think I've ever even shot a gun that's over like a $1,000 gun or anything that shoots like that fast. I've never shot one. No,
dude, we need to get you on the field.
We do. I would love to. I really would love to.
You need to come to our World Cup practice in a few weeks if you're able.
I would. Maybe the practice.
Yeah.
Maybe the practice.
Get you out there
on the day. I was going to come out to the World Cup, but on those 2 days we have something going on here, so I can't.
Well, but the practice is the weekend before. We should try to get you out.
Okay, yeah, I'm super down. Yeah, it's not that far away.
Crash and kick it with the team. See how we prep, and then we'll throw you out there a few points. And
well, maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be great, dude. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. The Around the Bar podcast is presented by Center. Center offers all natural hemp-derived CBD beverages with premium ingredients to help you find clarity and focus in everyday life. At your bar, Center could be a great addition to your mixed drinks. Add the balance powder to your drink of choice for a CBD boost without changing the flavor of your drink. Center can also serve as a tasty alcohol alternative. A favorite mix of mine is the unsweetened CBD sparkling drink with a pomegranate relaxed flavor of CBD powder. Center has supported many of the podcasts, the Optic Podcast, the Flycast, and of course now Around the Bar. It's a great product. Please go check it out. Take a sip, take a moment, find your Center. Use Optic 25 for 25% off your first order today. Go to findyourcenter.com and also follow the guys on Instagram. They're doing giveaways and stuff all the time. So at findyourcenter on Instagram as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much to Center for sponsoring the first season of Around the Bar. And thank you for Austin Cox for making that wonderful, wonderful drink. All right, back to the podcast. I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, I've never it's such a where was I going with that?
Talking about luxury sport. These are great, by the way.
Dude, they're amazing.
He's crushing it.
That might be why I can't think straight.
Yeah. Espresso, 8 p.m.
Espresso.
Keep it going.
It might be the vodka, too. The vodka.
That could be it, too. I'm feeling a little sauced.
Okay, well, fuck whatever I was going to say. I can't remember. What are the different positions in paintball for people that imagine you're talking to somebody like Matt who's never watched pro paintball.
Hello, Matt.
What's up?
And what are the different positions and what are the different roles and how would you explain that in personality wise, I guess.
So a lot of the viewers watch COD, so it's you have your SMGs,
right?
You have your ARs, basically how paintball, the traditional way was you have back players, mid players, and front players, right? So your front players are going to be your small, fast guys, younger guys, usually that could take a beating, that could run and dive. You go tell him to run and dive into a spot 30 times, he's going to go do that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he's not going to have back problems like some of us,
Yeah.
And then you have your mid guys who are going to play the support role for that guy, And then you have your back guys who are going to shoot paint off the break for those front guys on the other team.
Yeah, looking over everybody.
They're trying to shoot their front guys, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So that's the most easy way to explain it. Yeah. I think that the way that the league is now, I don't think, there are guys who are more, I'm a front guy, I'm a back guy, you're going to get those guys, Yeah. But I think now the way the league is, I think everyone has to be so versatile because the sport is so intense, and it's this whole season, every single finals match and all these games at the top level are 1-point games.
Yeah, they're coming down to the wire.
So everyone has to be able to play everywhere, right? So so what's more important, having a guy who could shoot well on the break, or having a guy who could shoot well on the break but also be able to get in the snake, which is a position on the field, you know what I mean? So having these guys who are versatile that could do everything is more important.
Yeah.
So that's the base. Again, traditional is front, mid, back, or front and back players, and then you have guys who sub in for those spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Matt, can you look up NXL? Is that
you can look
NXL layout? Just so we can maybe get some sort of visual. Because have you guys ever heard? Matt, have you ever heard of the snake, the position, the idea?
I don't believe so.
So you see that the horizontal bunkers.
Okay, maybe going all the way to the right.
Yeah, top right.
That's a good example of a traditional field.
So
this is sweet, dude. We got a TV. This is awesome.
Yeah. So oh shit.
Well, this works.
Yeah, that works. So that horizontal part on the right side of the field is basically this tall. So in order to, what is it, like this tall? This tall?
yeah, so you have to lay down.
You have to lay down. Your whole body has to be laid down while you're playing it.
Yeah.
And that's how you get, like, I guess, field control, right?
Yeah, so there's the snake on the right side, and then you have the Doritos, which is on the left side, that are shaped like Doritos, right? Yeah. And typically this is a traditional field where you're going to have a snake side and a Dorito side and then some stuff in the center. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with a field like this, if I were to break it down, this snake is 80 feet long, right?
Yeah.
So it's all connected. So it'd be in your best interest to try to get in the snake and crawl all the way down to their side without them seeing you.
Right.
And try to shoot some guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Doritos. It's pretty straightforward. So it's just kind of a lot of heads up in your face action trying to go down that side. You know what I mean?
And how whenever you practice, how much of your practice is like VOD review or like game review rather than just getting out there and practicing like offense?
Yeah. So honestly, like, we structure our practices because you used to get the layout. So like this, say the Vegas tournament's in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We would get the layout today, and then in 2 weeks, we would play on the same layout.
Okay.
And so basically for those 2 weekends, you would practice as much as you can on this layout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Compared to like a COD, like say it was a COD match, but you get the map like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And then you, whatever game plans you had, you go to the tournament and hope they work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's basically what this is like,
wow.
so now it's 1 weekend before. So you have 1 weekend to go out there, practice this as much as you can. But for a team like us, we, so for example, I'm going to fly out to Houston in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fly out on like a Wednesday. We're going to play on the layout Friday, Saturday, Sunday, take a day off, go back Tuesday and like review and think about the things and all the notes that we took about when we scrimmaged teams all weekend. And we're going to be like, hey, let's try for 30 points in a row, let's try to see the probability of Hitch running to the snake while Ronnie's shooting for him.
So you would, shooting for me.
Yeah, so you
would stand behind me.
Right, so no. So I would stand on the other side of the field, and you'd stand on one side of the field, and we would say go, and you would run to the snake, and I would try to find the best place to shoot you from.
Okay.
And that's called like breakout drills.
Right, yeah.
Well, basically like probabilities of, okay, I shot the shot 20 times, and I hit it 19 out of 20. That's a good shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So come to the tournament, if people are running this route, then I can hit that shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
it's crazy.
I think it's like so unique in that manner where it's like you can literally make up whatever game plans you want. You know? But come to the tournaments, you're going to see what's working and what's not working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was World Cup, 2021. But yeah, so like a snake like this is so dominant because you can go down it and fly down that side. But also the Doritos, same thing. You can go all the way down that side as well. Yeah. So it's just, it's almost like everyone on the weekend before the tournaments, like we're all waiting for the layout to drop.
Right, yeah.
And once it drops, like all the fields rush to get the field up, which draws customers to those fields that are competitive. And you go out there and you play as much as you can on it.
Yeah.
And then come to the tournament, whatever game plan works best is. Yeah. So actually this tournament, I played the Dorito side, I remember. And this was like, I think we got third this tournament, third or fourth, but this was World Cup 21. Yeah, this was an intense tournament.
So did you come into the sport, like you said, the young, fast guys usually play the snake. Did you play the snake when you first? The
only MVP I have in my entire career is in the snake.
You gotta go back.
Maybe I have to go back.
See, growing up, I would be like, all I've ever wanted to do is play a snake.
Yeah.
Now I'm 30. I'm like, I'd never want to do that ever.
So it's kind of crazy. I grew up playing the snake, and then when I would play the snake a lot on Houston Heat, I ended up playing the Dorito side, and then I evolved into a Dorito player for a few seasons.
Right.
And then I went back to the snake, and then now I like play, again, versatility. I can play everywhere, right?
Right.
This whole season, I've been the back guy.
Oh, really?
So I've kind of been kicking it in the back, shooting the shots on the break, and then kind of quarterbacking the game with my other back guys. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of crazy how my career has been, but So for me personally, like I like the ability to play everywhere. Yeah. But also, I think you're onto something. I might need to get back on the snake.
You might need that. Right? You might have to.
Yeah.
I think another cool thing, like just from a spectator perspective, I think call-outs in paintball are insane. Like, is there any like raw footage? Maybe.
Oh, this one's maybe better than the last one. Dude, he's crushing it.
He is crushing it. I mean, he used to be a bartender. So,
really?
Yeah, that's why
I could never tell.
Can we look up like maybe an HK Army video?
Yeah,
just
sure.
like a raw, or on YouTube. Just like a raw video. Maybe Verbal's channel might have some.
That's not
You can go to my YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, duh. What the hell? What are we doing? Look up Ronnie Dizon. Dizon Docs.
There we go. I got one coming out tomorrow. Well, this won't release by then, but
yeah.
there we go.
And now,
well, any of the last ones, like one of those works.
One of these?
That's me sitting down. You could like skip through.
are these all like montaged or they're?
Yeah, they're montaged. Or did you want to see more traditional format or?
Well, I mean, I basically whenever there's a break off, I mean, the amount of noise that's happening is crazy.
Yeah, it
because
is wild.
all the balls are flying, and the guns you hear and there's 10 of them, and then people are just screaming.
Yes.
Like imagine for all the Call of Duty viewers, imagine you're playing Call of Duty, but in order to talk to your teammate, they were, I don't know, 50 yards away.
Yeah.
That's what paintball is.
Hey, it's me. What's that?
That's you right there?
Yeah, it's me.
That's so funny. I can't even I can't even recognize people with all you guys. That's what I'm saying. You guys all look like demons out there.
Yeah, dude, it's sweet. It's such a cool
See,
sport,
you
man.
see his vocal cords right there?
Yeah. That's my boy Ryan, dude. That's my boy Ryan. I love playing with him. I've been playing with him all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been sick.
So yeah, I think it's a really cool sport. Yeah. And it's something that I've never tried, but weirdly enough, I think everyone should try it.
I think it's just so for all the Call of Duty fans, I think this is a very cool concept of what the CDL is almost at like a level when it comes to paintball. Because the reason why I was so obsessed with Call of Duty was because it was like paintball.
Paintball, right.
But like whatever mentality I took into paintball, I applied it into trying to be good at Call of Duty. And it was like, okay, I just have to learn the mechanics, okay? Yep. And getting good at like the movement. Okay, I got the movement like decent, Yep. So, okay, now I have to like learn like, because I played a lot of ranked when it was like, especially Vanguard ranked, I played a lot of it.
Did you really? Yeah. Oh, shit.
A decent amount of it.
I thought you played Warzone, like a lot of War.
No,
like
I played a lot of ranked, and then I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2 ranked.
This last piece
one.
of shit game?
Yeah, but not like, listen, I'm not, I'll tell you what, I stopped gaming for the past like 2 months.
Oh, did you?
Well, I stopped gaming because of Modern Warfare 2. I'm being honest here. I hated that game, right?
Yep.
But my boys and I loved it because we got to be able to have that same camaraderie and feeling that we get when he plays paintball.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so.
I can imagine how ranked would be like teaming with your paintball buddies.
Yeah,
that had to have been so fun.
It's so sick, bro. Because you're like, okay, we just got to learn call outs, and we'll watch like people's videos of like, they break down the map and like P1, P2, all this stuff. I'm like, dude, this is just like paintball.
Just like paintball.
There's all these different call outs. I just need to learn them, and then we could be good, But it was cool.
So I whenever I was talking to Mike, the battle rapper, he was telling me that like even though there's such a huge platform that battle rap has, there's not a lot of like full-time people that are full-time battle rappers.
Okay.
And I assumed that paintball was going to be the same way, but then the more I thought about it, I think paintball, there are so many products that come across with paintball, like guns and apparel and the paint and the fields and everything that like, that's probably where like a lot of the like funding and support comes from in paintball. So what is the endemic like sponsorships and the companies like in paintball? Like how well received is it from all the pros? Because there's a bunch of, there's a bunch of different gun companies, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And a bunch of different paint companies.
Correct.
And so like, what is it like working with all of them?
I mean, for us personally, we have the ability to have a great support system with the team owners, Randy Smith and his wife, Danette Smith. Okay. Basically, that's like our team mom. She cooks for us. She cleans for us. Like she takes care of us. She does logistics, and then he helps with the funding. You know what I mean? So it definitely is a blessing to be able to have backing from someone who loves the sport at such a high level, you know what I mean? But having sponsors like HK Army, which is like our gear sponsors, our jersey sponsors, like our soft goods, and then having a sponsor, DLX, which is our guns, like to pick a good sponsor in the pro division, it's super important to have a good relationship with them because you're going to be with them throughout the whole season. So you got to make sure you have the proper support back from them, When it comes to like numbers, raw numbers, every team is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Whatever value you could bring as a team, the gun sponsors have to look at it like, okay, what have they done for as a whole as a team? Like, are they a good reflection of what our company could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always, you could even say every year there's a big toss up of some teams that like they could switch, but then there's teams that's like these teams are loyal to these sponsors and they're not going to switch. You know what I mean? So if like if a more staple team leaves a big sponsor, it's a big deal. You know what I mean?
So are every teams like do the players buy their own guns?
No. So in the professional division, majority of the teams, to my understanding, they have some sort of deal with their whatever sponsor that they're representing.
Okay.
And then there are individual players that get maybe more than guns than other players. You know what I mean? So just again, it's case. Case
by case.
Yeah.
Are there teams out there that are sponsored by a gun company that puts them at a disadvantage?
Everybody who's not sponsored by DLX, shameless plug.
Fair enough.
I'll cheers to that one.
Yeah, cheers. I can just imagine like, I don't know, Tittman comes forward and they're like, we want to sponsor you guys. Mm-hmm. We'll pay you $1 gazillion to shoot 98s against.
So there was there was a team back in the day called Tittman Effect.
Oh, okay.
And they would take Tittmans, your basic 98 custom.
Yeah. Which is like, if you guys are just watching, it's just like the gun you rent at a paintball
It's
field.
like a basic gun, right?
Yeah.
But these guys would mod them and put like different components in them to make them shoot as fast as like a normal
like
gun.
A speedball gun?
Yeah. Like if you look up, dude, there's so many of them. One of my buddies, Carl, he played for them for a while. I think one of my old coaches did too. But yeah, so like they would take them and they would mod them, and then they would play. And as long as they were tournament like legal, there was nothing like crazy about them. They would play in these tournaments.
I'm surprised Tittman was okay with that.
Yeah,
no, it's like the only way to make our guns good is you rip them apart.
You don't use anything stock. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You just basically take one of your guns and
got it and then
Tittman
put it on
the
basically. But no, I think it's just. Right now, especially with how the pro division is, all the guns basically shoot the same. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's basically the same in terms of preference, unless you're shooting DLX.
Unless you're shooting DLX. Then you're shooting the best.
The
best that money can buy.
Yeah. But no, so we're all at the same equal playing field.
Cool.
It really, as of right now, a big thing is coming down to the paintballs you shoot. Because every tournament, everyone has a paint sponsor.
Right.
So these paint sponsors bring in truckloads of paint.
That's insane. I can't even imagine what that looks like.
So here's batch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Hitch, you have to go out there and pick a batch and hope it's the best batch. So you have to go there. We do tests on them by like dropping them on a cinder block and like seeing like 10 out of 10 they broke. Oh, that's really brittle. Maybe we save that if it gets too hot outside, so weather matters. Oh shit, this paint's a little bouncy. Maybe we save this for the front guys who are running and diving so it doesn't break in their guns. So there's all these little factors. Wow. So to win a paintball tournament, everything needs to line up.
Yeah.
Everything,
And everyone's on the same page with that.
And that's why we shoot HK Army paint. Sorry, I keep plugging.
No, you're good. Plug. I mean, that's why I asked, man. That's why I asked. As long as you're drinking Center sparkling CBD and you're shooting HK Army paint.
Shout out to Center.
What's the relationship like between professional paintball players, and you kind of already touched on this, and like the casual sport, and then also like airsoft or like other laser I don't know if there's professional laser.
I think it's airsoft and paintball of what you're looking for.
Yeah, okay.
So this is great because on the internet there's a huge debate between airsoft and paintball.
Yeah, of course.
Like, airsoft's better than paintball.
Yeah,
paintball
it's the Halo and COD.
Same. Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. There's a great example. I actually had the privilege to fly to Amsterdam this year and compete in the Airsoft Professional League out there.
Oh, wow.
And they had the Nations Cup. So it was all the nations that went there. Team USA was there. We actually stayed in the Airbnb with Team USA.
Okay.
And we played the Nations Cup of Airsoft against... So it was supposed to be Houston Heat versus... the name of the team, the best team out there is Second to None, S2N. And we were supposed to have our whole roster basically go out there and play them, but it was me, my teammate Chad Yaya Boucher, and then Marky from HK Army, and then we had our kid from Team USA, a guy Tones. He owns a paintball field, so we didn't have our whole roster.
Right.
And we had to learn their format, which you're gonna see a vlog of it whenever I get around to editing.
To editing it.
Of me flying there and basically going there. Not sleeping for a whole day, staying up. Then the next day we go out there, scrimmage Team USA all day to learn the format.
Right.
Because it's not the same as paintball. There's like it's like football almost, where there's like a flag and you have to like hit a touchdown, and there's all these different. It's not even about like I shoot you, you shoot me, you're out. You know, it's like, oh, you need to go sacrifice your body to like get this flag. It's so many different rules. It's really cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really a big fan of it. But we went out there, we played, and then they kind of made like a softer version of the game for us so we could understand it.
Right.
So we had to go out there, learn the game, one day, and then play the best team in the entire world who's never lost.
Okay.
Undefeated in an exhibition game. And when I tell you this shit was lit, it was like the Thunderdome, bro. This shit was crazy. Yeah, the amount of like, because it's all indoors, and the advantage that Airsoft have above us is it's clean. So you can go have an indoor facility and never have like any sort of like dirt or paint or anything. It's so clean. Yeah, it's like going to play indoor soccer.
True. Yeah. Okay. Good. There's no paint.
Right. Yeah. So we went out there and we got to play against them, and like we gave them a decent run for their money.
Right.
When it came down to like actual mechanics and gun skills, I think we outclassed them.
Yeah.
But when it came to their format, they dogged us. Right.
Yeah.
But really and truthfully, if we had all of our guys over there and we got more time to learn the format, I think it'd be a different score on the scoreboard. Right.
Yeah.
But to be able to go over there and cross that over and get their perspective of what it is, I have respect for people who play Airsoft after that, because it taught me that they are trying to be, because I think paintball overshadows Airsoft, and I think they're trying to come to our occasion, but they're just trying to figure out the best way.
Right.
So for us to go over there and experience it and gain respect back and forth, I think it was incredible.
Hell yeah, another one.
Turn me up.
3. So wait, so professional Airsoft, is that like what I see on YouTube where it's like basically milsim, or is this like similar to Speedball?
Yeah, it's called the NSL, which was their format, and I know there's a few other formats. Speed QB is one of them. There's a bunch of different formats, but NSL is like the format, and they actually live streamed it on YouTube. It was actually really cool. Yeah. So for us to go over there and play,
can you look that up, Matt?
Yeah, you can look up the NSL. So we went over there for the Nations Cup. But so there's professional Airsoft players. Okay, cool. And they're just trying to show how awesome their sport is, because it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
I mean, everyone, if you're a 30-year-old man, you've either played Airsoft,
paintball, or Airsoft for bachelor parties.
Yeah, exactly. You've done something. You've gone to someone's birthday party at one point,
right? And
played one or two of those. But yeah, when I think, so that was a really great answer to that question. But so it's like those type of bunkers.
Yeah, they're all wooden bunkers. Yeah.
Oh wow, this looks exactly like paintball.
Yeah, it's just like paintball, right?
Okay.
But so let me bring this, because I think this could draw attention to COD players.
Yeah.
You have ARs and you have pistol players.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you have, like, for us, we had 2 pistol players and 3 AR players, and the ARs are just like paintball guns.
Oh, so they
have a tank and everything. Yeah.
Is it semi-auto, just like paintball?
Yeah, so it's semi-auto. Okay. Yeah. And then they have these tracer rounds on them. If you go to my Instagram page, like, you'll be able to see the tracer rounds. Like, it's so good for like head cams or barrel cams.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
You don't have a hopper in the way. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So I think it's a really cool sport. I do think that there's because you play on the honor system, right?
That was my next question.
So there's no paint that shows that I hit this person, right?
Yeah.
And even in paintball, you could cheat with paint flying everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But for this, the honor system is huge. So you can get away with a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Especially if you're playing for, I'm assuming if you're playing for money. You can't play this for a ton of money until they figure out a solution.
See, that's the thing. It's like, it's already difficult to ref paintball. Yeah. So to ref this.
Oh, it'd be impossible.
Again, it's very difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Verbal just uploaded something where in a 1v1, somebody got away with wiping in paintball.
Oh yeah. That was this past weekend or whatever.
And I'm like, there's 4 refs out there and they couldn't catch one.
Don't get me started. Because I talked to my teammate Yaya about this. And we were both like, oof, this is, you know.
So was that what was that 1v1? It was a grudge, like a grudge match, or sponsored by somebody, or
it was just like a 1v1 league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So that was a really good answer to that question. But I guess on the other side of things, like, what is the relationship like between like professional speedball paintball players and like people that play like the D-Day event?
That's a good question. Yeah. Because I still think I haven't even tapped barely into that scene as much as I would like to.
Matt, one more. I'm sorry. Can you look up D-Day paintball? I don't think Matt's ever seen this. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, D-Day is like basically a simulation of D-Day.
Right, yeah.
And they have like these big scenario events where they emulate what D-Day was like.
Yeah, like war.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And I think it's really cool to be able to have an out like that of paintball. But in terms of like the head honchos in that, I'm very unaware of that scene because for me, I'm just so focused on the speedball side of things. You know
right,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, Invasion of Normandy. This is cool. Shout out to Lone Wolf Paintball.
Lone Wolf. Where's Lone Wolf based out of?
They're out of Detroit.
This is in Detroit?
No, Lone Wolf is the sponsor of this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at that shit, dude.
Yeah, so they basically try to simulate, well, they do simulate.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
dude,
nuts.
Look how many people. How do you even tell what team you're on?
I think you get armbands. Like a red armband.
There's no way.
Yeah, see, he's got an armband on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Some people are out there with like milsim guns, and some people are out there with just like.
Dude, we're going to get you out to a bunch of these.
I would love to.
No, I'm serious.
It's a ref. That was a ref.
We're going to get you and the TST guys out to someone.
I'm super down. I'd love to have I want to have like an optic versus 100 Thieves or an optic versus phase.
That'd be huge.
Yeah.
We can make that happen.
Yeah. And have like maybe like Houston Heat on our team, and we'll get
we even like we do a day where it's like we like help coach you for one day and like
I'd
teach you guys how to play it and then you guys play.
That's a tank. That's a drivable tank. There's paint grenades.
Yeah,
like they literally go crazy with
So this is what I meant by the woods ball and like the scenario side of things is like there's such a big influx of people that play this, and it's really, really cool because you can be whatever you want to be in the sport. You could be on this side, you could be on the speedball side, and for all the people who play Call of Duty or all the shooter games, you're just being able to do this live and direct. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm surprised you've never been out to one of these.
I've been out to some big games, not like this one specifically. I've been to a lot of big games, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Usually, I just end up being shit hammered, and I'm still having fun, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good time to like get together with the buddies. I know the Field by Me Blast Camp. They just did a Purge themed one.
Oh.
Yeah, where it was like they have like Purge themes and there's scenarios and there's actual missions.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so you could report to like a general and like talk to him, and they'll basically tell you like, hey, you need to go retrieve this thing. Or there's a Star Wars one where like you could have lightsabers and challenge people. There's just so many different ideas for these scenarios.
That's sick.
That's why I think paintball's cool because it's like you don't.
Yeah.
You could have these.
Like the creativity is off. Like it could be off the charts. And
I respect all sides of it.
Whenever battle royale video games were coming out, I'm assuming someone did something.
So I'm pretty sure there's a field, Capital Edge Paintball in California.
Okay.
That they do a BR style thing.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure the Field by Me Blast Camp does it too. Where there's like guns on the ground and stuff. See, I would love to do a BR style thing. And I actually, it's funny. I almost set something up with the Call of Duty mobile scene.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I have a buddy who's in the PUBG mobile scene. His name's Metal.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him.
I'm not familiar now.
Yeah, so he actually helped me get into the mobile scene for just gaming.
Okay.
Because I was playing PUBG Mobile. This is how I got into video games, by the way.
Okay, PUBG Mobile.
So I was actually playing video games for a while when I was younger. Then I stopped.
Yep.
And then it was like a car ride for practice. I was going from Houston to San Antonio, and my teammate, it was like, hey, dude, I downloaded PUBG Mobile. You just download it. We could play on the car ride.
Okay.
I'm like, so what do we do? He's like, we drop out of a plane, and it's you and me, and we're just fighting for our lives. I'm like, I can't, dude, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get obsessed.
Yep.
He's like, dude, just do it. And then I did it, right? Next thing you know, I'm like, on YouTube, how do I stream PUBG Mobile? Right? All this shit.
You have a PC set up 2 months later.
Just wait. It gets better. So I got into the mobile scene, and then I saw Call of Duty Mobile came out.
Right.
So I started playing Call of Duty Mobile, and then I was full-blown gas pedal on streaming it.
Yeah.
Then pandemic happened. So I was playing Call of Duty Mobile like every single day, playing ranked, streaming it on like YouTube.
That's funny. I had no idea.
And I was actually talking to some of the creators from that scene. Yeah. And I was working on a time to get them to fly out to do a battle royale.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that would have been sick. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been sick. And then the pandemic happened. Then no one traveled, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been sick to have them come do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely. I think HK and FaZe did something a few years ago, and it went just so crazy. Like, I think paintball is something that everyone wants to like. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but like, I feel like everyone my age is just like wants to get out there and just, even though the balls hurt like a bitch.
Yeah.
Like if you're not playing as much as you play, holy shit.
It still hurts.
It's just.
That's why I try not to get hit by it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is it more important to hit people or not get hit?
Depends on the situation. So if you look at it like Call of Duty, it's like, are you going to get this trade? to win the game. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Same thing with paintball.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like if I shoot, you're in the snake and I'm in the snake and I got a guy behind me. If you shoot the guy behind me, it's important if you get the trade because you still have a guy. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Situations like that occur. So it just it's dependent. But most of the time, it's shooting the other people.
So when if you say you go up and you bunker somebody, you hit each other basically at the same time.
Yeah, very close. Yeah. If it's
that's a trade. That's
if it's in
trade?
real time and it's like bang bang, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's a trade.
It's a trade.
But sometimes like there's a line where it's like you shoot him and then he just gets one off as he's walking off. You know? As Then it's like there's a lot of controversy when it comes to the referee's decision. You know.
That's one part I think that would be hard to understand too. It's like because in COD, well, up until recently you couldn't trade, and so you win your fight and then you go on.
Right.
But I feel like winning your fight is very. I'm doing it like I know what the fuck I'm doing.
You look good, dude.
Very like pop heavy. Like you pop out, you get a shot off, and then you duck back in, and then that's how you get yours without getting traded. Right? Is that pretty?
Yeah. I mean, so for paintball, it's like, okay, I guess if we're gonna explain trading, it's like it's when a situation where it's like 2-on-1 on a side.
Okay.
And it's like we need to get this guy off the field so it blows the whole side open.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the younger players, a lot of the time, will just try to preserve their body, you know what I mean? And not just sacrifice themselves for the greater good of the win. Instead, they want to try to, like, shoot somebody else across the field and then try to shoot this guy without dying, which also could get them into a bad situation. And then that guy, the one guy on that side shoots him. Now it's a one-on-one between you and me and Hitch on the side, and then you shoot me, and then the game's over.
Yeah.
And it's like you just blew that opportunity because you didn't want to get up and just trade with your guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some of it is intimidation in terms of getting hit. Some people just don't really like getting shot that much. You know what I mean?
I can imagine. That's me.
Yeah, exactly. It's me too.
I'm in the corner. Like.
Yeah. So there has to be some like almost dummy mindset where it's like, oh, I got to go trade with this guy. And it is what it is. I'm going to get shot, you know? But that's the level we play. It's, you got to be a man about it. You know, you're going to go out there and play. Or a woman. We do have the WNXL. There's a women's division.
That's kind of taken off, right?
Yeah. The women's pro division's also a thing too.
I was watching your last tournament and it's crazy how they basically have two matches going on at the same time. So like you'll go out and you'll play your semifinal match, and then when you're coming off in between,
the other team goes on.
Yeah, in between points, the other team goes on. So it's two games going on at one time.
Right. So you get to watch 4 teams at once, and also for scheduling, it's great because then they could knock out 4 teams.
Yeah.
For scheduling, so that way.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I wish COD could do that, but everybody would have to be in one game. We can't do it.
I will say that for the spectator, it's kind of difficult to follow at first.
It was difficult to follow at first, but once I understood what was happening, I was like,
it's called split deck. That's what they call it.
Split deck?
Yeah.
Is it relatively new, or have they been doing that for a while?
So they used to do it in Europe for a while.
Okay.
And Europe was like a big split deck thing, and then they brought it over. I don't know when, but it's been like that for quite some time.
See, I think it'd be nice. I mean, I think just my opinion, my 2 cents. I think it'd be really nice to have that as like the preliminary like matches, or you guys play pools, right?
We play prelims.
Which is like you play like a round robin.
So you basically get a bracket depending on your seating.
Okay.
And then they draw names out of a hat, and that's your bracket for the next event.
So you only play one bracket.
Yes, you play the 4 teams in your bracket.
Okay.
And then depending on if you won your bracket or you lost your bracket, they would seed you on the next day.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's basically pools.
Yeah.
In a weird, or like the Swiss system for CS. But yeah, so I think it would be nice to have that for those matches, because you just want to get you want to watch as much paintball as you can when everyone's still in the game or in the bracket. Mm-hmm. But then maybe as the tournament goes on, but then again, I'm sure if there was enough funding to get multiple streams up, then they wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
they would probably just focus on one match at a time.
Yeah, it just depends, right? Because it's like, you know what I really wish, and they started to do it more. They started streaming. They used to stream on only this platform. There's one platform that they have called Go Sports. Go Sports.
Yeah.
But they started streaming on like Twitch and YouTube and other ones, and I just wish that they would stream on those more.
Yeah.
But I wish they would stream the final match.
Me too.
Because this is the thing.
Me too.
If you watch the final match, and Marcelo said this, that's what you're there for, you know?
Right.
So if you watch the final match, you're like, whoa, this was sick. Mm-hmm. But then most people would be like, I want to see what it took to get there.
Right.
And then you could do the paywall for the other matches,
sure.
you know? But, it's...
Paywall is always is a sticky thing, because, with paintball or like we'll talk with Mike, battle rap is very paywalled and esports is very paywalled just because there's a big platform available, but there's not a lot of ways to monetize it.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. You get 10,000 people, over the course of a weekend that want to watch a paintball tournament. Like,
right.
how do you make sure that you can get enough, monetary value to throw another one? Like, you want to be able to continue the sport, but I think that I think there's like a little bit of like like you said, it's kind of hard to follow like paintball. You have to want to learn how to watch it.
Yeah, you got to make people want to understand what we do. If
you had unlimited money, unlimited resources, what would you do to paintball to make it as watchable as possible?
Oh, damn, that is $1 million question right there.
Or more, possibly.
Much more. Yeah, to make it more watchable. I don't know. I'd have to sit on that one because that's a very big question. Because there's so many different ideas and options of what we could do. You know what I mean? But there's also so many different politics too that for me as a player, like I would need to think even bigger than myself and my team. You know what I mean?
Because as not a player, you just throw GoPros on everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like but then again, I'm not a fucking player. So I'm the guy watching like, damn, I wish I knew what would it feel like to be like,
so you would want to see like a POV, almost like COD, where you can watch different.
1,000,000%. Yeah. Imagine you had the commentators being like, now let's check in on Ronnie.
Right.
And then bam, it pans to you.
Right.
And you're in the snake or you're fighting. You're like, he's in a 1v3. Basically, I mean, whenever, football was a thing was a watchable sport for a very long time before they started making football video games. And then they start making these video games and now there's all these graphics on the fields and stuff. And now when you watch an NFL game, there's circles underneath everyone.
Okay, yeah,
and
post-production in terms of the stream of being able to follow.
Absolutely.
I think they
make it very like, I mean, Hector talks about it all the time. They make it very like video game-like.
Right. I was talking to Tyler Harmon, my teammate, about this. I was telling him and showing him, because I would watch the CDL, like when I was at paintball tournaments, you know. If there was no game footage reviewing, I would just turn it on because it would usually be around the time that we were playing tournaments. And I would watch it, and then my teammates would watch, and they'd be like, watching, they'd be like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." But then my teammate Tyler was like, "Man, it'd be so cool to be able to like show this."
Dude,
in paintball,
100%.
It's
expensive.
Well, it's difficult too because you got to think about the fact that like our sport's messy, right? So if one GoPro on someone's gun gets shot, right?
Or wet,
they're out already, right? They're already out for one, you know what I mean? So you can't even see their POV.
Yeah.
But also like, okay, I think a big thing is like when we have a head cam on, our hoppers are in the way.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I'm playing, it's like, depending on how I hold my gun, some players hold their gun a little more sideways.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see what they're shooting at. But if the way I hold my gun right-handed especially, you can't see anything but the back of my hopper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think there needs to be a different way to mount cameras on guns.
Yeah.
I've done barrel cams before. That works pretty well.
Yeah.
But also to be able to see what we're shooting at is difficult because to do that, most of the YouTube videos, like if you look at Matt the Gym Rat, he's post-producing hit markers
for sure
into the video, right? So like, that is relatable to a Call of Duty or a Halo player because it's like a video game.
Right.
But for like real time to be able to do that and show who we're eliminating, you might need, I guess if we're going to talk about like what could work, you might need less players on the field so we can have more opportunities to like do these little animations and stuff. You know what I mean? So like say you did a 2-on-2 league and then it's like you showed the barrel cams, but then you could like really quickly like show who they shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the field was even smaller, so then you're able to like even see closer range stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's in terms of like showing the paint flying, and showing when you shoot somebody, that's a big kind of
because it is. I mean, sometimes I don't even think the commentators can really tell. I mean, they definitely can because they're all legends, basically, right?
Sure.
That have played forever. Yeah. But like as from the spectator, like sometimes I can't. I have a top-down view of because there's the camera's pretty high up, and I have a top-down view, and I still can't tell where people are. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm just like listening, and I'm like, I know, like, and when I was watching you guys play, I was like, I know it said like Ronnie and Tyler are still up, and they're verse 3, like. So I was treating it more like a radio cast than like a visual thing.
This is great that you're telling me this because when I present this podcast to more people who are in that space, this is going to help. So you're saying that it's difficult for you to follow along sometimes in terms of like which camera angle is looking at where and what the
right, or where the remaining players are if it's 2v3 and where the 3 players are. Like I wish there was like a little bubble that popped up and said, on this third Dorito, that's one of the here are the 3 players on this side, here are the 2 players on this side.
I almost think it might be more watchable if it was post-produced.
I was gonna say that, but I know that's difficult.
Yeah. Well, we did it on ESPN way back in 2005. And
that was all post-produced?
Well, yeah, so they had the bubbles, and then they had when the players would move.
Yeah.
And they would have all these different moving pieces. So I think that was cool and good for spectators, right? But yeah, it is difficult. I will say that to be able to watch it on the webcast and sometimes, and to be able to understand really what's going on. Because coming from you, who's very versed in what the sport is and what esports is, and you still are treating it like a radio cast, means that we're still in the stages of.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that's anyone's fault. It's just it seems like a damn near impossible task because it's such a high intensity sport.
Right.
You guys are out there sliding. I mean, if it's even a little damp, you guys are all muddy. Yes. Like it's a very intense sport. So like, I agree with you. I think post-production might be the best way to get it as like easy to follow as possible. But then maybe that's how the paywall comes in. You offer the live stream how it is now, and then you fully post-produce the full match and then put you know what I mean?
There's a lot of ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this. You've probably heard it on the webcast. Do you know what a bounce shot is?
No.
Okay, so we're so good at this game that we don't even need to look at guys to shoot them sometimes.
Okay.
Because if I were in a spot and you were behind something, there's probably a bunker next to you that I could shoot that the paint will bounce off that bunker and hit you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
There's no fucking way.
So here's the thing. To be able to explain that to a viewer already is difficult because we can't even explain some heads up gunfights sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, so now I've introduced another thing to you.
Yeah.
There's times where it's like I've shot guys, like two or three guys, and I've never even looked at them because all I'm doing is like it's like I'll shoot at them, they'll come back at me, I'll be like, okay, maybe this will work, and I'll shoot at this thing, it'll bounce off that and hit them. I'll be like, okay, that worked.
That's fucking insane. That's like laser tag mirrors,
right? See, that's what I'm saying. So to be able to and laser tag, is that a thing? Mirrors where it bounces
there's mirrors. You hit the mirror
and it'll bounce
and hit somebody's
exactly.
So, yeah.
So to be able to explain that too,
that's insane.
Another concept, right?
So how does the paint not break when you hit?
I mean, just
angle. Okay, so y'all are all physics majors.
So so I will say this, like we'll practice that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But also, like. If there's something that looks like it might come in, I'm going to take the chance of shooting it to maybe shoot you. Why wouldn't I?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to shoot it to see if it works. If it didn't work, then I'm going to go back to what we were doing already.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
You're only wasting 3 or 4.
And then when that guy figures out that I'm shooting a bounce shot at him, he's going to shoot the same one back at me. Now we're both shooting bounce shots at each other.
Yeah, because it's the same angle. I didn't even think about that.
There's been tournaments where it's like, you and I would go heads up, and then it's like, we get on each other, and then we get on the bounce shot at each other.
Y'all are both shooting this way?
And we're both shooting this bounce shot. Hopefully it gets in.
God.
And then we'll get on each other again. It's like, you'll shoot the bounce shot. Like, okay, he's shooting the bounce shot. I'm going to run somewhere else.
That's a new level. I would never have thought that would have been
crazy.
Interesting.
We're at a crazy level of this game where paintball players have became so smart.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like, well, fuck. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So...
What is this?
I think this is a bounce shot.
A bounce shot?
I'm trying. Yeah.
Well, this is you guys, right?
I wasn't on the team at this time. Yeah. So you see how it's bouncing off that pin?
Oh my God!
Boom! It bounces off, hits him. Now he's dead, and he's look how tight he was hiding in there.
Oh my! So they were just shooting that little pillar.
That pillar right behind him. You see, and then it bounces and hits him.
Oh my God! That's insane.
So imagine you're hiding as much as you can, and it's like, oh, I can't hide from this.
Yeah. Wow.
You could see, this is JC from Impact. You could see he's looking at it, and he's like hoping it doesn't come in. You know what I mean?
Because I guess at that point, you're just hoping that all the balls break on that pillar.
Right, exactly, which comes down to paint management. Maybe some of the paint that's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
You know? So it's...
Wow.
There's a lot of factors that go into it, you know?
How often... Because it seems like a very break-heavy sport. I've watched very little.
Sure.
But it seems like...
That was a good video, by the way.
Yeah, that was really, really good. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, bam, buzzer. Yeah. Everyone starts shooting. 2 people get hit off the break, and then you play.
Yeah.
Is that
so
how it used to be or is, or?
I mean, so I think now this current game is like the breakout does determine a lot.
Okay.
And that's why there's, how do I explain? There's coaches who are very quick on conceding that point. So basically saying like, we're going to reset because that was a bad break. You know what I mean? Because there's sometimes you have to have faith in your guys, right? And then there's situations where you're like, this doesn't look good. And like say the other team's up on points and they shoot 2 on the break. It's like, it doesn't look good for us because they're not going to do much.
They're going to waste time.
They're going to burn the clock. It's on their side, you know? So it's, again, case by case. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. When you watch old paintball, it's almost like because the layouts and old paintball, and older videos were so much more wide open.
Right.
And nowadays it's like, how did that guy ever make that spot?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I have to shoot like a gap that's like a foot big.
Yeah.
For a guy running, like 20-year-old guy running as fast as he can.
Yeah.
And diving. And like it's like that's a risky spot. But back in the day, it's like I have a gap that's like 50 feet long, and it's like, oh, I have to hit him in one of this big 50 feet, you know?
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see the skill gap of like back then how they couldn't shoot these guys on the break versus now where it's like running to a spot is like, especially if it's high risk, it's like maybe we don't even run there, you know? What I mean? Or maybe we risk it and just run right through that bitch and then ram jam, you know?
Yeah.
So
how often is like are clutches a thing in paintball? Like, are you 1v3?
Yeah.
You're like,
often.
You're still going to knock out all three of them.
The top ranked teams.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why they are the top ranked teams because their win percentage.
Yeah.
I think the NXL, which is the league we play in, they started putting up win percentages.
Yeah.
And it's like really cool to see because it's like that means that team, no matter what the situation, they had that win percentage and they were able to pull that out, you know? So yeah, I think it's really cool. I want to say a big shout out to my teammate Tyler. Yep. Him and I have had a pretty good win percentage when it's been him and I.
Dude, you guys, I just watched you guys 2v4.
Yeah, like him and I have done some crazy, even in practices too. We were like, dude, we did it again. How did we do it? But like, it's like season after season, some players can do that. Like everyone on my team's had those moments. You know what I mean? And it's like, you'll see your players in that situation where it's like 2-1, 4. Who's out there? Oh, yeah, we got this. You know, because like they've been in this scenario and they're just been dogging people in this scenario, you know? So I think that's been something that's been huge as of lately. Yeah.
That is sick.
But it's been in the sport forever. So
like to be
like just being able to clutch things like that. Yeah. That's like, yeah.
So you did talk about like the old school style of paintball. I watched Serial Killers.
Yeah.
And I watched something else like leading up to this.
Cool. Serial Killers is awesome.
Serial Killers is an old, like, what is it? Early 2000s?
2003, 4, and 5. Like, yeah, like documentary style paintball about certain players. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is super sick. Yeah. How has paintball evolved? And like when you watch those old school, like, you know, they were very popular at the time, documentaries. Does it look like us watching like 80s basketball? Like, has it evolved that much, or were they still dogs back then?
I think that's a pretty good comparison. I mean, I guess like for the skill level back then, like they're dogs still, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like if you're telling me to take a top team from 2004 and put it against like a team now, like I think there's a huge gap because of how crisp and fundamentally sound the players are in this league that we play in, you know what I mean? I won't say that they're going to completely, absolutely like dominate them, but also like, I mean, you're talking about guys who, how the sport's evolved, like we're so crisp in how we're playing and how tight we're playing, and now we're evolving with bounce shots, all these different small factors that didn't get introduced into the game until a certain year, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they may have been introduced back then, but not to the level of what it is now. Right. So I think there is a big gap. In terms of mentality-wise, I think the older players have an advantage in terms of like how the game could be played. But then again, there is like really top-level coaches that are just a little bit more X's and O's that could, you know, maybe figure out a situation where it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stick to this, and it's going to work. So I think in terms of skill level, the gap is much bigger than what it was, because if you go back in the day, you're gonna see guys like playing ridiculous the way they're holding their guns. You know what I mean? They're shooting right-handed while running left. You know what I mean? When they could just be shooting left-handed.
Yeah. Okay.
And like just how tight they're playing. It was a big gap if depending on how far we go back.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was watching one of them, and your teammate Tyler Harmon is his name. Yeah. I think he was being coached in one of those.
Yeah.
He's he looks like he's 13 years old.
He was, yeah. And his number was 1-half. Or 2. It was a half.
Oh, was it?
That was his number, but now his number's 12. He took out the dash. It's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
I remember that clip because the guy who was coaching him, his name's Bob Long. But yeah, he was that was Tyler growing up, and now look at him. He learned from some of the best in the league. Now he's one of the best in the league.
So that was another question is like, it seems like there's not even like a retirement age right now for paintball.
I mean,
the most dominant some of the most dominant players have been playing since they were someone. So there's some sort of it's an ambulance. I just saw it go by.
Oh, there it is.
Some of the most dominant players are like 40 years old.
Yeah.
Like how in a sport where you're sliding and you're on your you're on your stomach or you're sliding on your knees, like how are they still playing at the top?
Well, it's back to what I said originally, Hitch. It's experience, right?
Yeah.
Experience trumps everything in the sport. You can have the fastest gun snapshot.
Yep.
A snapshot's where you're behind cover. You come out, you shoot one ball, and you come back in. You could have the fastest snapshot. You could have the fastest athletic ability.
Right.
But if you don't have the knowledge in this game, you're going to get chewed up. And that's why you can play for so long. I mean, I think up until last event, the oldest player, his name was Shane. He's 50.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So,
on a pro team?
Yeah, he was on a pro team.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to be able to play at a top level, you know what I mean? And to compete still, you know, it's huge. This guy, Alex Martinez, he owns San Antonio X Factor. He still plays.
Yeah.
And he's in his 50s, I think. I don't know exactly his age. Don't quote me on that. But again, you could play for a very long time in this sport. Now, there is a road where you do need to have, stay active and be able-bodied. But if you're able to understand the scenarios and the situations, man, if you could think faster than these kids, then that's huge.
I mean, like I said, I played Greg Hastings paintball, and then I watched paintball for 5 or try to keep up as much as I could for 4 or 5 years. I'm in high school. Then I take a couple years. I totally forget about everything, and I still like it, but I just don't keep up at all. And then 7 years later, I'm like, I want to check out paintball, see where it has been. And the same guys I was teaming with on Xbox Original are still out there playing. And to this day, they're still out there playing. Yep. I just think that's super impressive. I think that I don't think enough people talk about that.
The retirement aspect of how
players, just how there's well,
a lot of guys leave.
All the dynasty guys are still
still ripping it.
Yeah, that's insane.
I mean, a lot of guys. I will say this. I think there's a fair amount of pro players that just quit and stop because they think it's the right time to stop. No one's telling them to. Yeah. They're still able-bodied, but maybe they get married and, their wife's not too fond of the sport. Or maybe, they want to start that next chapter of their life and they, they have a kid and maybe a lot of things change for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also on the opposite side of the coin, I have teammates with 3 kids. You know what I mean? I have teammates with multiple kids. I have teammates that, still raise their family and still play paintball, you know what I mean? So you can do it. It's just, I guess, what you want. But there are players out there that can still play at the top level, but they choose not to because they feel like they need to devote their entire time to it and maybe outside responsibilities have pulled that away from them. I mean, that's life, right? But also, that's the thing about the sport. It's if you still got it, man, you could still keep doing it.
Just keep going.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It just seems so fun, man. It seems is paintball.
We're gonna get Hitch on the field. I'm swearing by it.
As long as Matt and Austin go, they've got the
dude. We'll get them going.
They got the Dizon Docs merch.
Yeah, I got the hats going, dude.
He said it's fire.
Hell yeah.
So is paintball it for you? You've dedicated basically your life up to this point for paintball?
For now, yeah.
Is that are you still just as passionate as when you first started?
Okay, I think that's
heavy question. I know that's a 4-drink
I have questioned it, right?
Yeah,
I have because when the pandemic happened, I was like, "What is my life without paintball?" Right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's
when I had to fill it with Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But it never replaced it.
Yeah.
But it did help a lot. I think it was an incredible way to. Thank you so much. To be able to find an outlet that kind of allowed me to play a game that was similar almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, for paintball, I think that even when I quit playing paintball, I want to continue to coach. I want to continue to spread the knowledge. I'm already doing it now with my entire area. You know, my biggest thing and the best feeling I have is watching a player grow that I helped influence. You know, because to me, it's like I try to envision myself in his shoes, and I'm like, how can I make him not have to go through some of the stuff I did, but also go through some of the stuff that helped me. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why I'm like really passionate about, I guess, growing the sport in that sense.
Yeah.
In terms of like being obsessed with it, like I used to be when I was a kid, I still am.
You still
I really
are.
still. But there are times where I'll take a break from it mentally, you know, and check out. But again, Hitch, I just told you, I'm playing this paintball game every night still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm still
For
like,
sure.
I'm excited to like just still play the game and still go out there. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I fly home tomorrow morning, I'm gonna, have a full day, and then the next day I'm going straight back to the paintball field, and then maybe Friday, and then I'm playing both Saturday and Sunday this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I get so amped to be like get ready. And when I was a kid, I used to like get my stuff ready the night before.
Yeah.
I still do the same thing.
Really?
I sit there. Sometimes I'll put music on. Maybe I'll put on, a Hitch stream. You know what I mean? I'll put on a podcast around the bar. But I'll put it on. I'll put something on. And I'll do the same thing. I'll get all my gear ready. I'll get my gun all like cleaned up, ready for the next day. Change all my batteries, recharge all my stuff, and then like have my gear laid out. I'll even have like the outfit I'm gonna wear ready for the next day.
So sick.
Because I'm just so hyped that I'm gonna go play paintball, So.
And because you guys look so damn cool out there.
Damn cool.
That's the thing is like basketball players don't look cool. Like they're wearing basically wife beaters out there and running around.
Yeah.
Like some football players look cool, but like paintball players always look fucking cool. They got the headgear and the visors, and they're carrying guns. They got ammo on their
and you
back.
can customize all that.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally like a video game.
You could be a headband guy. You could be a hat guy.
Yeah.
You could be a beanie guy.
Yeah. No, it's and that's why when people go out to their local field and they're playing with their buddies on their their birthday party, and then they see that guy turn the corner and he's got it all.
He's got his own shit. Yeah.
What's the gun you guys use?
Lux.
Lux?
Lux.
Oh, Lux.
Yeah.
Lux.
Yeah, Luxe.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, he turns the corner with one of those. You're just like, oh shit, I'm getting fucked up.
When I was a kid and I would see kids walk in or guys walk in with their own markers, I would get nervous.
Yeah.
I would be like, what marker is he? How much was it? How much expensive was it? It's like that mattered or something.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like a lot of the times I'll see a lot of kids come on here. They'll have all this gear. And they'll just get
and they're trash.
Smoked by guys who are at the field all the time, who have like a not so great gun.
Yeah.
But those guys are out there actually playing, and then there's guys who buy the stuff to buy the stuff. So
we had a few good stream months, and I was like, I got a little bit of money. I'm just gonna buy everything I ever wanted for paintball.
Did you?
No, because I never would have gone. But I just imagine people in my situation, they grew up watching it, and now they're 25 to 30, and they're like, I'm going to buy. Thank you.
I'm financially able to buy.
I'm financially able to buy it, and then they buy it, and then they go out there and get smoked by 14-year-olds.
Yeah, some kid I've been training like all year, and it's like, all right, this guy, he's light work. I could already tell by the way he walks. You know what I
mean? Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
So there's club. Basically club, I guess, ball, which would be like, the teams that you guys play for. And there's also is there also World Cup? Like you call it the World Cup, but it's really the club teams that are playing against each other.
No, because there's a league in Europe.
Okay.
And if you win out in the league in Europe, you're invited over.
And
there's other leagues. Yeah, there's other
so it's,
regions that they invite.
Okay, but it's not Team USA versus Team England.
No, that would be a Nations Cup.
Nations Cup.
Yeah,
okay.
Nations
That's
Cup.
confusing.
Yeah, and they usually hold the Nations Cup. They just held it actually in Europe. So
Cool.
So there's an NXL Europe and there's an NXL in the US.
Okay.
I got a burp because espresso.
Yeah.
There's a Nations Cup in Europe. There's a Nations Cup in the US, and they'll usually hold the World Cup in the U.S.
Okay.
They'll hold the Nations Cup overseas. Yeah. So we just actually won. USA won. Woohoo.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to my boy Tyler Harmon going over there and doing work. Yeah. So they basically they would have the Nations Cup there, and then here with the World Cup, that event means more than any other event.
It's your champs.
You can win all four, but if you don't win the World Cup, I don't care. No one cares. No one remembers you.
It's your champs. Yeah.
Oh, those guys were so consistent until World Cup.
Yep.
That's what they would say. They wouldn't say, damn, those guys were dominant that year. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're going to go,
I know exactly
damn, they were
what you
so
mean.
good until, or but they didn't win the World Cup. So the World Cup's the most important event.
So you guys placed second twice in a row, or you've got a few second places, but if you win this,
I actually don't have any second places at World Cup. I wasn't on Heat when they got a second place.
Oh, I meant just like in the past events.
In the past events, yeah. We've had 2 second places this whole season.
Yeah,
correct.
And then but if you win this, that'll be what they talk about.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
and none of these events would matter.
Yeah.
When we win the World Cup. And
when you win,
I come back here and do another around the bar.
Absolutely.
And we rip some more of these espresso martinis, and we drink some center water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I get you at the right hotel this time.
Oh, what was wrong with the hotel?
Because okay, well.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with the hotel, but you're staying at a La Quinta, and there's 3 La Quintas by DFW. And how was I supposed to know that? I sent the Uber to the wrong place, and then you showed up at the wrong place.
Mm-hmm. They said it happens all the time.
Okay.
So you're okay.
All right, that's fine.
It's odd to me that there's a Bermuda Triangle of La Quintas out there.
Yeah, why?
I don't know. Why is there so many within a mile vicinity of each other?
I don't know.
And then how do you tell the difference? It's not your fault, okay?
So for the Nations Cup, I saw on your like PB Leagues history.
Yeah.
At one point you played on the Team Philippines.
Yeah.
So how was that? I mean, how was that experience?
That was really cool because I got contacted by so actually it was in Thailand.
Oh, cool.
And we played 2 separate tournaments. There was the Nations Cup.
Okay.
With Team USA and then all these different nations.
Yeah.
And then there was a normal tournament.
Oh, okay.
And I played the normal tournament with the Filipino team. Marcelo and I played with them.
Cool.
He actually didn't want to play. He flew out there for vacation, and I ended up getting him to play with some compensation. So shout out to that. But we ended up playing with this team called Laboyo Philippines, which means like spicy pepper or something.
Nice.
Something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to be scolded for this. But so I got asked to play with Team Philippines. I was able to, spread my knowledge of the game, and Marcelo was to the culture of this this team that was basically like a bunch of guys that were Filipino who picked up paintball guns, but really didn't get to learn, the format. Like this was like the real first like go at a good big tournament,
Yeah.
And we were playing against other nations, or not nations, but teams from all over, like Thailand and stuff.
Okay.
But they would hire other pro players. So it was basically like pro player against pro player with some guys who were fillers on the side. You know what I mean?
It's a crack creator tournament.
Yeah, exactly. A crack creator tournament. Exactly. Shout out to Hitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was basically that. And then it was cool to be able to experience what they knew about the sport. And then like where their knowledge stopped,
Right.
To see like, okay, I can clearly see that you understand what the game is, but then there's like this huge,
you got to do a lot more
into the tournament scene, right?
Yeah.
Like one time I was like, hey, you need to like touch the box before and the game started. I'm like, bro. And then like when the game started, this guy's like already pointing his gun downfield, shooting like, and I'm like, there's definitely like like they didn't get the proper training. Right?
Okay. So you were playing for a club team in the Philippines. You weren't playing for team.
I was playing for basically a throw together Filipino team. Representing the Philippines.
Oh, representing. Okay, so you were
in the Nations Cup as well as the normal tournament, and then I was hired to just kill for them, basically.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that seems like it'd be pretty fun.
It was really cool.
Were your parents hype about that?
Yeah, because they came over there with me.
Oh, that's dope.
It was really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So actually, I went to Australia. Did the same thing in Australia. I played for a team out there.
Okay.
They hired me to play with them, and then I flew from Australia to Thailand to go play with a team out of Thailand. And
that's cool.
I got food poisoning in Thailand, and I had to play the tournament with food poisoning, and I'm like. Shitting my pants. No, seriously. I remember there was a point where I was like, my dad was like carrying me, and I'm like, dude, I'm shitting myself right now. It was bad, bro. It was so bad. But I remember we were playing, and my girlfriend flew out there, and I looked at her, and I go look at tigers or something because it was so hot.
Yeah,
it was so hot, and I'm like, and it was like a difficult. It's not like very viewer friendly there. There wasn't many places to view from. So I was like, go do something fun in Thailand that you were going to remember, because sitting here, it's like 109 degree humidity. Like you walk outside, your shirt's sweaty. Like you have to change your shirt as soon as you walk outside.
Yeah.
To be able to experience that, it's like, just go do something fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And fight for my life.
I can imagine. It's got to be.
But the paintball was a lot of fun. I will say that. Yeah. It was a blast.
It's got to be cool to travel though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think I have written down. It says you've played in Spain, Thailand, France, the UK, Czech Republic.
Shit, you did your research.
I'm sure like a lot of other places. Like, well, how is the paintball scene so worldwide? I just maybe part of me just assumed it would be like a Canadian and US only thing.
Yeah. It's actually huge overseas in Europe.
Russia. I did know about the Russians. I knew about the Russians.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is these guys who watch the professional division, like you did with like Greg Hastings, you know?
Yeah.
They see us playing, you know? They like, I don't want to say idolize, but they look up to us, right? Mm-hmm. And they see us playing at the top of the level, because playing in the NXL, that's the premier elite league. Yeah. The best of the best play there, you know? Yeah. So they watch us, they, you know, follow us, they cheer for us, you know, they boo us, whatever it is. But for the opportunity, like if the door opens and it's like, hey, you know, say it's you, Hitch is open, like, you know, to come play this tournament with us or against us or come teach us paintball. Yeah. That's huge for the whole paintball community in that area. So it's almost like a pro player's, you know, due diligence to go out there and spread and actually be able to expose yourself to these guys who will never maybe come to the States to watch it.
Yeah, you know? That's cool. Is there monetary compensation in that? Like,
depending, like if you're going over there to do a clinic, that's cool. We'll get taken care of. Or if you go get hired for a team, you know, obviously there's negotiations, sure. Right? Yeah. But also, you know, you do have to think as a pro player, like, am I risking injury going over there? You know, so you gotta kind of be really smart about, you know, if it's worth it and worth to go over there and do what you need to do, you know? Yeah. Lately, I've been doing, and I love doing clinics where I go and I teach paintball to whatever the area is, you know, and explain my knowledge and show them how the game is played at the higher levels. Dude. You know, that's the coolest thing.
I'm putting, when I have a kid, I'm putting my kid into a paintball, because I did soccer camps. Yeah. I did Jesus camps. I did a bunch of camps. Yeah. But never a paintball camp. That would have been, my dad tried to keep me away from paintball. Sure. my dad.
My dad was like, those are illegal. I'm like,
right.
What? What you mean?
But it would be so cool to like have like a pro player, you know, teach like
you should attend we should have it where you come to a clinic. Maybe I'll host a clinic and then have you come out.
Oh, so it's not just kids. It's
everybody. I've had guys that were like 50 years old coming out because they just want to beat their friends up on the weekend.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Just be a little bit better than your friends. Being from Chicago, was it? Oh, I mean, I know you played for the Aftershock, but was it because the Aftershock is the Chicago home team? Yeah. Was it like a dream to be on that team, or is that just the local team?
For a lot of Chicago players, it was. Yeah. For me, I was a big Dynasty fan, so I wanted to play for Dynasty when I was younger. Things have changed since then, you know. Now they're my rivals, so you know.
So if you get the call today, you're saying no.
I mean, I love my guys on Houston Heat, and I can't see myself leaving. Right? Yeah. You know? So being able to be surrounded by the Aftershock guys was really cool. You know? And I did when I joined the team, I learned more history about being on the team, listening to the guys who, I mean, at one point they were the most winning team in the world. Yeah. So to learn the history, and I'm like, holy crap, I got some big shoes to fill, you know? Yeah. And seeing all the trophies and like all these little, like all these stories, I'm like, damn, dude, like. Yeah. But they were a little bit before my era in terms of their dominance. Right. Because when I got into the sport, they were like dominant, and then they started to like just be like a, you know, mid-level professional NXL team. Like they were good, but they weren't winning all the events that they used to, or the World Cups that they used to. But for me, so there was two sides of it. There was side A, which was like the Chicago Aftershock. The name of the store was Bad Boys Toys, BBT. Okay. And it was like the skate shop / paintball shop. You go there, you know, like you got all that. And then there was another shop called Warp Sports. Okay. And they had like a completely different aspect. So there was like the BBT kids and the Warp Sports kids. So it was almost like a rivalry, right? Okay. And Warp Sports was like right down the street from my house, so I'd ride my bike there. Yeah. BBT was a little bit of a drive, and I couldn't drive, and it was by my mom's work. So sometimes I'd go there, sometimes I wouldn't. Yeah. I actually bought my first paintball gun from there. But I grew up in the Warp Sports side of things. So when the guys from Chicago Aftershock would come to like the fields that Warp Sports sponsored, I would be exposed to them there. But like at these fields, it was like a completely different crowd. Okay. It wasn't until like later where I realized like the scene was over on the other side to like grow in terms of tournaments.
Yeah. Instead of just casual play.
Yeah, like it was casual play, but it was like casual play to a point where we were like really, really good, but like there was still like another tier that we can't tap into because we don't have good enough players to teach us to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we would go to like the other side of things and we'd be like, oh, these guys are really good. You know what I mean? So it was always like a feud. Who was better? You know?
Yeah. All right, so I only got like 2 more questions. Matt, you got anything? Oh, he's gone.
Shout out to
How
Matt.
long has he been gone? Matt has a tendency to
all
do
the
that.
lights are off and we're still in
Yeah,
here.
he's at home.
Dude, we're fully cranked off these espresso cards.
It's just us.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
4 a.m. So yeah, one of the last questions I got.
Sure.
Very YouTube-y question. Who is the best paintball player of all time?
So I said it earlier.
You said.
I thought Oliver Lang, and I still believe that he's done so much for. I mean, if you look at his track record, he's done a lot. You know, he's done it all. You know what I mean? And there's a player named Chris Lasoya who is an honorable mention. And I'm only saying honorable mention because I grew up like towards the tail end of him, like kind of. Right. He was really, really good, you know, and he was a legend of his time. And then like I kind of just missed his era of like full greatness of me experiencing it live, right?
Right.
So it was almost like MJ Kobe, you know, like those eras, right?
Yeah.
And for me, the Oliver era was like my full spectrum like focus when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You know? So to me, of all time, I think for what he's done on and off the field, he's been so influential to his team and to the players around him that I think he's in my eyes like one of the GOATs, you know?
Yeah.
Now, that's a difficult thing to say in the current time because there's a lot of players that scrape that surface and they're right there. You know, there's a table of guys that can sit there and they're the guys. You know what I mean? Like, I room with one of the greatest paintball players of all time. His name's Konstantin Fedorov. And he's one of the greatest paintball players of all time because of how dynamic he was on the field. Like, I remember when him and Oliver would go at it and they would play against each other. It was beautiful. You know? It was like you're watching like magic happen because you're like this is the rivalry I wanted to see, you know?
Yeah.
So to be able to learn from him and actually become real like best friends with him. Yeah. And to be able to actually play against Oliver, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, lose tournaments to him, win tournaments to him, like I will give him respect where it's due. Yeah. Right there, yeah.
When it comes to Oliver Lang, what separates him from the other, I guess, Iron Kids, the dynasty people that have been playing? There's like what, 4 core or 5 core?
Yeah. I will say this. I think, okay, Oliver's like in terms of publicity wise, he's like the greatest. Yeah.
He's paintball scump or Nate Shot.
Sure. Yeah. But I will say Ryan Greenspan's right behind him because he's still doing it at a top level and winning World Cups. You know what I
was wondering about that
because I think he's, if anything, I could even change my answer and put Ryan there because of how much he's done.
It's unbelievable.
It's insane.
When I was talking about 40-year-olds still playing at the highest level, I was thinking of him.
Because, well, think about it. He's still winning World Cups at his age. Yeah. And he was playing at the same time as Oliver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Oliver's, like, if he would have not stopped playing for a while, he could still be there, right? But, you know, he decided to stop, which... I mean, it was his decision to stop, and Ryan didn't, and he's still doing it. So to be able to put a track record on paper, that guy, you know, that's the guy, you know what I mean?
And they're all still, like, is it 4 of them that were at core?
Yeah, it's Oliver, Ryan, Yosh, and Alex.
And they're all still, well,
they're all still playing. They're all still involved, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But... yeah, I guess, like, for me, influential-wise, it was Oliver. Yeah. But if we're going on track record... I can't not mention Ryan.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So before I tried to talk to you, but you were gone. You were pooping?
How was it? This espresso's about to push it out of me.
That's good. That's great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Cool.
As your mouth full of pizza. You got any paintball questions or anything? I got one more question. So
I had like 2.
Okay.
And I lost them. So
okay. Well, I'll ask mine. You keep thinking of them. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the serial killers documentary, there's a quote from Ron Kilborn.
Yeah.
He says, shout out
to Ron.
It used to be who shot the most paint, or now paintball is who can shoot the most paint and get into the bunker. Back then when he used to play, it was chess. Now it's a game of 12-year-olds that are beating the hell out of me. That's his quote. How has that evolved, and is that still true today? Is it still chess, or is it how much paint can you get out of your gun and how aggressive can you be?
I think it's both. I mean, I don't want a cop-out answer, right? But
yeah,
it is chess because every move matters, right? And every body matters, just like on a chessboard, you know?
Right.
And there's situations where you need to sacrifice a pawn for something or whatever it may be, right? But also there are some young kids who are just nasty as fuck that are just coming up on the scene, and they just have the natural ability to do this. And there's more of them than there is not, right?
Yeah.
So I think that quote, I mean, because it was an older quote, I think it applies, but it's also like saying like an older Call of Duty dad or something. Saying like these new kids who are like TikTok YYing around
100%.
me, you know what I mean, breaking my ankles and like hopping on my shit. Like, well, back in my day, like we didn't used to have this.
That's
and it's
me.
Like,
that's me to this day.
there you go. That's a good
like
example.
back in my day, I would gun you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but now this kid is running circles on me, dropping his guns, picking them up, fucking, you know what I mean? Like these movement kings, or, you know, shout out to Joe. Yeah, but like these dudes who are like, you know, just have progressed and basically broke this, like the ceiling of what could be possibly done.
Yeah.
So I almost say that the game is harder than it's ever been, depending on what age you are. Now, there is older guys that can't keep up at the pace that we do, you know?
Yeah.
But there's also formats that are made for that. There's a format called 10-man where it's 10 on 10, and the game is played in the woods. It's played on like dirt mound fields, and it's also played on our like airball and style speed bunkers, right?
Yeah.
So now they get to play on all those, and usually the older guys are the guys winning those tournaments because that was their game, you know?
Yeah.
Now, I will say they do get drunk and cheat all the time in those formats, and I don't really play many of them. But I do respect them because they look like a lot of fun, and like the competitive level is still there.
Yeah.
I can't fully agree with that because the game has evolved so much since then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if we want, I guess for us, like, I think it's hard to view, but to play it and to be like, to making calls on the field and like figuring out like different breakouts that, you know, like you were explaining, it's the coolest part of the sport.
Yeah.
I think that's like, it's just a beautiful sport in that sense. You know what I mean?
It is a gorgeous sport. And it is, I mean, it's relatively hard to view, but it's not like it is impossible. Like if you want to watch paintball, you can watch paintball. It's really easy to find. You Google it, you figure out, you get a Go Sports subscription, and you watch it. That's it's simple.
Yeah.
But if you want the intricacies and stuff, you kind of got to dive a little deeper. Watch some YouTube videos. Watch some Dizon docs for sure. You got to watch all those.
Shout out to the vlogs.
And
I did a lot of shout outs, but I don't care.
You remember your question?
Yeah. So it's kind of like a two-parter, I guess.
Let's get it.
So like if I were to go to go play paintball somewhere, what are like some things that I should be thinking about that like the vets do that like an amateur wouldn't think about doing? Like what's like the etiquette when you go to like play paintball? Is there like certain things that I'll look like a goon if I go do, and certain things that look like, I know what I'm doing?
I mean,
like that?
So I think the beauty in it is like you got to go experience it for yourself, right? But like if you're going to just try to go there, and I guess a few like quick tips is like, first, follow all the rules. Don't be that guy who like is out there and is like taking his goggles off on the field, or like his barrel cover, which like basically protects everybody from your gun.
Yep.
You know, like taking it off like on the staging arena. Like that's like your basic rules. But I think a huge one is just mentally understanding that if you think about like how much it hurts, you already lost the game, you know? If you can focus, I read this in a paintball magazine once. It was like a dad and his kid, and he's like talking about how like my dad told me, if you just focus on shooting the other guys more than them shooting you, you'll have more fun at all times, you know?
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I was the kid who would hide behind a wooden plank and not shoot my gun. And my parents would watch and they'd be like, we're taking you out here for you to sit behind a plank for 5 hours. What the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, okay, fine. So then I would like shoot like 3 paintballs and I'd hide. I was terrified, right? But there was a breakthrough moment where I was like, maybe if I just focused on shooting the other team and moving, that's when I was like, oh, this is exhilarating. You know? So I think that for a first timer is just to go out there, just make sure you follow the safety rules and like just focus on shooting the other team. And if you get shot and if you see guys there with their own equipment, ask them like questions, you know? Like if you really want to actually like get into this and maybe be competitive, you know? Like, how did you shoot me? It's like, well, you were like a cow walking through a field.
Yeah.
So it's like then they'll teach you things like playing like tighter in like where your spot is and understanding where the field is looking like, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my other one, like kind of piggybacking off the etiquette thing, and I may be stealing this one from this piece of paper, but is this like in COD, if you shoot someone's body after you kill them, that's like disrespectful?
Yes.
Is there, I don't know if you guys answer this or not, but is there stuff like that in paintball where?
Like shooting somebody after they're dead?
Yeah, or like if you, like just like disrespectful stuff that people do whenever they like do a good play.
Yeah,
or, like,
Ronnie executed a guy like 3 weeks ago. 3 months ago.
Oh, in the beginning of the year?
Were you like shooting a guy like this?
Oh, and he was on the ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of internet backlash. I almost got canceled for that.
I know.
No,
I'm sorry to bring it up.
No, it was sweet because the guy who I shot on the ground was like, I would have done the same thing to you.
Yeah.
Respect. But then Oliver came on and said that I was not classy doing that. So and then there was a huge internet debate. But that's in the past.
Right, yeah.
I still respect you, Oliver. But yeah, I mean, so like, and as far as like taunting people and like
kind of
them,
there's like a celebration that like a winner could do that the loser would see as like very disrespectful.
I mean, so a lot of people, so it's called bonus balling. If somebody's out, right? Say you're walking off the field and I know it's you and I shoot you extra, you know, maybe I shoot you like 2 or 3 times extra. Yeah, it's like, okay, you bonus ball me a few times. But say I walk you off the field, you know what I mean? And like I tee you, like you're trying to go into your pits, but you're getting shot in the fingers so you can't even grab it. Like, and I'm teeing off on you, you know? There used to be a rule in our league that there was an overshooting penalty.
Yeah.
But now they removed it, so you could overshoot everybody.
What?
Yeah, it's great for content.
That sounds horrible.
And actually, last event, I got a warning because it looked like I was overshooting people, but I was actually holding a zone, and people decided to walk through it.
Yeah.
So when the ref was like, hey, you look like you were teeing off on everybody, I'm giving you a warning. I'm like, there's no rule, though. And I wasn't even doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
So, that's a disrespectful thing you could do is like shoot people off the field. And I think when you do have a grudge match against guys, depending on how you respect that team, you're gonna put it on them. You know what I mean?
It's like pitching in baseball. You're gonna hit somebody on purpose every once in a while.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like in COD, if you're shooting somebody's body in COD.
Yeah.
But imagine if the player could feel every single one of those hits.
No.
You know what I mean? Like every single one.
Yeah.
Like from their neck to their back of their head.
What is it? Because I follow you and the Dynasty guys and Verbal and who's the guy who used to have a mohawk?
Thomas.
Taylor. Yes. Yeah. It's funny. That's how you know. I follow him too.
Of course.
Because every once in a while I'll get like paintball TikToks and stuff and Instagram reels. There was a clip that went viral of 2 guys just
cranking each other?
It seemed like they were pissed and they were just going at it.
It's on HK Army's TikTok, actually.
What can we look that up?
Yeah, we can.
Who was it? Do you know how to find it?
Yeah, if you go to their TikTok, I'm pretty sure it's like pinned on their TikTok.
Oh, go to HK Army's TikTok.
It might be pinned on their TikTok, I think.
Okay.
I hope.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
you guys are going to see this and be like, what?
Yeah. Let's see. Is that their page? Okay. Scroll down. I'll tell you if I see
mean, it might have millions of views.
Yeah, I will tell you if I see it. But I do remember they shot the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
There's me executing him.
Oh, wait, you got to see that then.
That's it, yeah.
That's it? Yeah.
Well, that's the execution.
This is what we were just talking about. Holy shit.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Holy shit.
Can I tell you something about this?
Yeah.
This is Call of Duty.
It is.
No, listen. You want to know how I knew he was coming? Just guess.
You heard his footsteps.
Footsteps, dog. He didn't pop Deddy. He didn't. I was literally standing there and I heard dunk, 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 dunk. I go, he's coming. And then I see my teammates like starting to shift their body like he was coming to get me. And I'm I better start shooting my gun because he's coming around. And then he just happened to fall on the ground. That was definitely, yeah.
So at that point, oh wait, that one has 14 million.
14 million. Could it be this?
No, that's actually us practicing in Houston of like a drone shot of what it looks like when we break out.
See? Breakouts are the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
They're so
Yeah, and there's
sick.
like the snake. Shout out to Connor. That's the 20-year-old kid that I was talking about. And shout out to Todd being here and coaching us to victory, even though I'm pretty sure we got cheated all day. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh my God. Wow. It seems like every time like a viral
keep scrolling down. I'm gonna find it.
A viral paintball video paintball video goes viral. There's a bunch of dads in the comments that are like, "But if they only had 12 shots."
No, yeah, that's.
If they only had 12 shots, they wouldn't be good.
See, the people who say that kind of stuff though, like they don't realize how
intense.
Yeah, like just come play us and realize like you're not going to be able to do the things that you do. No, that's not it. Keep going. I want to say it's on here somewhere.
We'll find the clip and we'll put it in post. But yeah, it's basically two guys just duking it out. And so neither one of them got a penalty?
No, they both got ejected.
Oh, okay. So there is a rule.
There's a suspension.
Well,
this was like unsportsmanlike conduct. You're talking about two guys who just decided to shoot their entire loaders in each other's faces.
That's insane.
One of them's nickname is the Bruiser for a reason.
Yeah, sounds like.
And he's just he wanted all the smoke. He wanted to fight. Mm-hmm. And the other guy's JC, who they know each other too.
Yeah.
So like they practice each other all the time. So I don't know
why.
It's almost this like, you know, when you're like, if you want to fight someone, you ever been so angry? Like, you've been in fights, right? Where it's like you're so angry and that it just like the switch just clicks.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened there. Yeah.
Is it hard to travel to tournaments and get through TSA?
With our paintball stuff?
Yeah.
No, because you check it all in. So there's no issues. Yeah. I've had issues in Canada where one time they took my gear bag. They called my name while I was in like a lounge.
Okay. And
they're like, "Hey, Ronnie, Dizon, you need to report to this gate."
Right.
I go in. They pull me into a room, and it's like a room with a table, right, and a TV. And they're like, "Hey, we're gonna watch TSA go through your bag, and you need to talk through this microphone or this phone to TSA about what's in your bag, and you need to tell us what the stuff is."
You say it's a gun.
Like, okay. So like they pull out the paintball gun. I'm like, "Yeah, it's a paintball marker, you know."
Yep.
Because we're gonna use proper
language.
We're not gonna say gun. And then they pull out a tank, right? And the tanks are where they get scared, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, this can't go through." And then I'm like, "Well, no, because what you have to do when you travel is you have to take your regulator off your tank."
Yeah.
So like you unscrew it. Now the tank is just an empty bottle. It's no different than a water bottle. It's just a steel bottle or a carbon fiber bottle. And then the regulator's off, not near it, you know. And they're like, "Yeah, this can't go through," knowing damn well there's a hole in it. And there's like, but they just don't know, right?
Right.
And I'm like, how? I got into Canada with that. I'm literally leaving Canada, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, no, you can't." And then the guy didn't really speak English. He's like French Canadian. So he was like reading it and it said Houston Heat. And then he goes, "It says Houston Heat on it." And the guy who was with me goes, "Yeah, so it can't go through TSA because it says there's heat in the bottle." And I'm like, "No, it says heat on the side." Like he read it. He goes, no, there's heat inside. We can't let it go through. I'm like, "No, there isn't. It says heat on the side of the bottle."
Team name.
Like just let.
That's funny.
Like, how did I get here then? And
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to
yeah.
know. And then I had to show him like, you know, what we do and all this stuff and explain. And I'm like, "No, the regulator's off the tank, like all this stuff." So besides like little situations like that, it's been a breeze. Yeah, it's super simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. You answered the GOAT debate, or the GOAT question. Is there a Mount Rushmore of people where 4 people that without these 4 guys, paintball would not be where it is today?
Ooh, that is an incredible question.
Fuck yeah, one more. Holy shit, I'm wired.
I'm wired
drunk.
too. Man, espresso martinis.
Yeah, I'm wired and drunk. So I've been. This is not good for you two, by the way, because where it's like 9 p.m. right now, and it's 9:30. We've had like 3 shots of espresso. Sorry,
I'm telling you, sleeping is not in my actions tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, tell your girlfriend I'm so sorry because you're gonna go home tomorrow and crash all day.
Well, she's gonna be working. I gotta do things tomorrow.
Okay.
I might have to just keep drinking.
Might have to.
Minus the martini part, you know. Let's see here. Let me think. Mount Rushmore of paintball. I mean, there are so many people that contribute to where the sport is today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And man, I don't want to. That was going on the route of a cop-out answer.
You've copped out a lot of answers.
I have?
Yeah. So now you gotta give the legit answer.
Have I actually?
No.
Oh, okay.
You haven't.
Fuck.
You're good.
I mean, okay, so as far as pushing the sport to, like, are we going current Mount Rushmore, or are we just going, like, all time? Like
you know
all
time.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I would say all time.
I mean, for people who have influenced where the sport is, you know?
Yeah.
Shit. I'm sorry. This is a difficult question.
You're fine.
This is a heavy one.
It's a heavy question.
Because I have to go through all of history to think about like the players.
Yeah.
And the people outside of the sport that make this happen.
You know, a lot of the times it's people, because I asked Mike this question too. A lot of the times it's people outside of players, you know, people that contributed in some way or got deals to happen or you know, got investors involved or, you know, pushed the viewership, the you know, how well the sport is spectated to a different level.
I mean, I want to say, like, I'm going to name off a few names. I think Tom Cole has helped in terms of the NXL, help push the sport into different avenues after listening to him on the Play the Game podcast. Yeah. Talk about what he's doing to try to get the sport into the mainstream world, you know? And that's a debatable topic to some people, to me personally, after, you know, listening to what he's been doing, I think he's been taking steps forward, leaps and steps forward. Cool. I guess in recent times, and this might sound biased, but my team owner, Randy Smith, has helped in terms of investing into the NXL and helping the NXL, as well as the other investors, Bart Yakimek and other, I mean, there's a lot of names that are investors into the league, you know, and as well as sponsors. So like Randy has helped by, you know, investing and pushing the sport to places it needs to be, but also kind of helping change the league when it comes to, like, when we came into the pro division, he sought out to have a dominant team, and he did it in the most professional fashion ever, and we did it in the first year. Yeah. So that changed a lot of ways teams kind of picked and choose and dealt with players, and, you know, how teams were built, you know? Because now there was a different guy with some money in the game who is here to stay, and all these other teams are looking at it like, well, shit, you know, maybe we need to look at you know, revamping our roster, you know, things like that. So that's just like a few names, you know. As far as Mount Rushmore, I mean, that's, you know, again,
it's kind of like all the investors in one head.
In one head.
I'll give that.
Yeah.
That's not a cop out.
Yeah, I will say that some of the another head is a lot of the media guys. Yep. I mean, you just saw like 74 million views, 52 million views.
So many, yeah.
These guys are getting paintball just clicks. Yeah. In general. Whether it's good or bad, whether people are criticizing it, all of the media guys are doing an incredible job. Yeah. And things like HK Army, where we would travel to Amsterdam and cross over with Airsoft, doing these big events and these huge things that are just for publicity, you know, and content. I think it's helped the sport just get into the mainstream eye. You know, I think there's more paintball content than ever right now. And the fact that my girlfriend's clients are saying like, oh, I saw a paintball video go viral on TikTok, you know, it came up into my feed, like that already is like, good, we're doing it. We're getting into the people's faces, you know? Yeah. So that's ahead, you know, you got the investors, you know, you got commissioners of like at least our league, you know? Yeah. And then I think the other head is like all the people who play it and get somebody who's never played it to come play with them. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Just expand it somehow.
Because that's more of the community-based head of, if you go out tomorrow and you tell somebody about paintball and they decide to go play, or you bring somebody who's never played paintball in their life and they decide to like, oh, maybe I'll buy a gun and play casually, you know? Yeah. That already in itself is like growing the sport just by proxy of being around it, you know what I mean? So I think that's just the community base that paintball is done in general, you know? So from the content creators, bless you, from the content creators and like the media, you know, with the podcasts and all these people to, you know, and like HK Army to the investors, to the people who are trying to push these to the mainstream outlets, like behind the scenes, try to work deals. Yeah. And then to the community, like the huge community of the players. That's the difference. Like I can't just be like this one guy did more than this guy, because the media has done millions, right? Yeah. But then this guy might have pulled in millions, you know, or invested millions. Yeah. So, or this guy might have influenced millions, you know. So, it's sort of a cop-out answer.
It is a cop-out. It is. But I'll give it to you.
But I can't. That's very difficult.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Yeah. All right. Well, that has been Around the Bar. Definitely keep go check out Behind the Bar on the Optic Nation subscription service. We're going to play some beer pong.
Right now?
Right now.
Fucking right.
We're wired. I mean, Matt and Austin might be asleep, but we are wired.
Sorry, guys.
If y'all want any espresso, we can make you some.
Yeah, I know a guy. He makes really good espresso martinis, and he wears this awesome hat.
So go check out Behind the Bar on the Optic Nation subscription channel. And thank you so much for coming by. Cheers.
Thanks for having me. This was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And good luck at the World Cup.
I'm wired.
Good luck at the World Cup. Everybody go support him at the World Cup.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Peace.